Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spar and Brawl. I hope you're having a decent day. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Sam. We're back with a new episode of the Progressive World. So, as always, you can find timestamps down below, and please like and subscribe. All right, Sam. Let's tease a few of these segments here. Some comments. We have a bunch of viewer comments here, so I don't know if you want to touch on that more specifically, or we can move on.
Well, I think one of our segments we
Oh,
need
is your
to
mic
be
on?
expanding. Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. It was your hand. Sorry.
Yeah,
Continue.
sorry. Yeah, yeah. I was in my thinking mode. Is that in France, the guy who's thinking a statue? But yeah, I think one of our segments is going to be expanding and trying to, like, you know, basically use a comment to talk about one of my favorite subjects. But before that, I like to say one of the comments, the criticism was that, why don't you guys further explain what is wrong here? Why don't you do this, like, in a more, give the reasons, blah, blah, blah. Somebody, I want to make a 9-hour show, but somebody here is like, no, people don't want a 9-hour show. It's bad for us. It's bad for algorithm. People understand you're crazy then. Yeah. So I'm just saying.
Listen, the problem is every week I tell you, pick your 4 to 5 favorite stories and we'll talk about that. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, good idea. I'll send you I'll send you the list. And then it's like 55 different topics. So you just have to like mention them and power through. Some of them we just give the reference code story 80203. Okay, and then moving on to the next
Regarding the
one.
British monarchy's recent visit to Cambodia.
So the reason why we can get
Hey man,
more in depth if we wanted to and
it
if we
was
could is because of you.
the war between Canada and Denmark over a barren fucking island is very important. Everybody should cover that story.
I
Okay,
think
I
you
don't
should
know.
have your own show as well. You just like record some stuff, put it on a tape, and put it back there, right there at your bookshelf. And it's like
To
the
be honest,
extra
it would be
stuff,
easy.
progressive world extra. It's just for you.
Yeah, progressive word ASMR. Just somebody talking for 3 hours. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
some
So,
good viewer
anyways,
comments here. Anything else?
no, we're gonna explain which ones, but yeah, just
Yeah.
yeah. So it's gonna
And
be hopefully interesting.
speaking of your comments, so the Vanguard boys did a Q&A following the Aaron Maté interview. And again, surprising,
It's
they
always
were like more
surprising,
humble,
yeah.
like not more humble, but they didn't double down as much the first time when they made their show the next day, but this time, especially Zach, actually surprisingly, Gavin was a bit more chilled. But Zach,
Yeah,
anyway, we'll talk about it. That was a
yeah, it was. We saw a familiar
thank you for that, guys.
face
Huh?
I'll show you, but in the video we see a familiar face.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll explain
A
later.
commenter? But good
So,
stuff. Okay, then Caleb, Maupin, we're gonna go back to
that's
that
the
segment on Iran and talk a bit
yeah.
more why, what he says we think is a bit ridiculous, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm always surprised how popular I guess this guy is. But anyway, I have brought about like 15 peer-reviewed studies, couple of historical, like specific primary
Couple of
sources.
historians, the
Yeah,
primary sources. Okay.
primary sources, not historians. I have a
This person
historian
will
here
like
taken. Took him hostage from university. Come here, tell them, tell them how bad Islamic.
That's too funny.
No.
And
Well,
then
closest thing.
what do we have here?
Gorbachev is dead.
I don't
Long
understand what was
may
he
the
not
dead
dead?
never rise.
Oh, okay.
No, he wasn't dead, man. He died yesterday. You
Oh,
thought he
really?
was dead?
Yeah.
He was active, like politically. He was going around all time doing conferences. Look the
Really?
interview up. Yeah. Gorbachev was alive. So I thought
Okay.
it's a uh good
I guess I have a
like I
lot to
wanted.
learn. So even if it's just for me, this segment, it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean not that. I mean it's not a. It's. I guess it's not a concept to learn about. It's just the fact that
No, to know,
he
yeah,
was
but you
alive.
don't
Now he's dead.
you don't just
But
learn about concepts. Some basic facts are good too. So
yeah. So,
so
but he's yeah, it's a. I have I brought up readings from Alexander Cockburn, whom I really like, and I think yeah, it's going to be interesting to look at probably one of the biggest failures of the 20th century. Well, probably,
mm,
uh, yeah, I would say, yeah, definitely one of the
interesting.
yeah, just yeah,
Okay, we'll get to
very.
that. Very
I'm
interesting.
you know in a, I despise. I just want to say I despise these people. Probably like people like him, wishy washy. It's just yeah, what a loser. Anyway,
Brilliant.
sorry.
We'll get to that. And then finally, I'm
Brilliant.
I'm
What a
traveling
loser.
right now, as per usual, and I'm in
Mm.
Toronto. So I've been here for a few days now. Made a couple of observations I wanted to share with you. This is a
City of
nice bit.
well, most movies these days are shot in
Yeah,
Toronto. I don't know if you know this.
crazy. Yeah, I don't have any facts like that related to that for you, unfortunately, or stories. But yeah,
You don't have any
that is
trivia
very true.
facts?
That is very
What are we
true.
doing?
Yeah, I mean, Suits is one of the more, you know,
Oh, Suits was shot here.
yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, but okay, sure.
I mean, that's actually a Canadian story, but Scott Pilgrim is shot there, right? Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I don't know, probably, but like a lot of movies. So I mean, it would make sense if like a shitload, like any. I think any that look like East Coast, New York, kind of thing in the U.S. There's a good chance it's here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Should we get into chit chat?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I wanted to get to is, man, hold on. Let me talk first, and then you can look at the
Inflation.
picture.
All right.
Was I was a bit shocked because listen, I came from Switzerland, right, to Canada, right, right now. So I had some expectations, like yeah, currency 30% stronger, and also Canada is probably, you always talk about how expensive Switzerland is. Man, I swear Toronto at least feel like is more expensive, than Switzerland. So I mean, of course, or Geneva anyway, it might not be the case, and you have to take in so many factors. But anyway, it's just, man, it's pretty damn expensive here. And then I was just thinking to look at like, inflation a bit, because I asked a few people, it was like, did things get more expensive recently, especially like food and stuff at grocery store, and they were like, yeah, I did. And then so I just like Googled a bit, Statistic Canada. So like inflation, let's say, is around like, I don't know, 5, 6, or 7%, something like that, right? But for food, look at this. Like Canadians paid 9.7% more in April for food purchase from stores compared with April 2021. So it compared 2022 to 2021, went up by 9.7%. And some of the stuff like fresh fruits, 10%, meat, 10%, pasta, 20%, cereal products, 14%. And here it talks how this increase, which exceed 5% for the fifth month in a row, was the largest increase since September 1981. For comparison, from 2010 to 2020, there were 5 months when food prices for food purchased from stores increased at a rate of 5% or higher, So it rarely happened. But I was like, damn, man, my instincts of being shocked at the prices here. And I'm not surprised, man. The city is like expanding and going like crazy, like the buildings and stuff. I hadn't seen, um, tall buildings like this for a while.
Oh,
Some
what you
like just construction everywhere, building the biggest like skyscrapers. Like for instance, I used to live around here, right? This picture is taken in 2016. Okay, you see like this little area here. Now,
Oh
like
yeah.
this building has been built there, and it's like the
Oh wow. I
craziest
mean, you could
looking
see the crane.
building ever. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that
I mean,
is
look
nice.
at it, and it's full of buildings like this in all areas. They're just like building more and more, like buildings like these ones, these type of modern ones. they're just literally
Yeah, I see.
all over the downtown area and even going north some parts.
As you know, Tehran, I mean, and Dubai, you remember very
Yeah.
much when it's just I hate these buildings so much as well. It reminds me of beehives always, like there is a couple in Tehran that are actually beautiful, but
Hmm.
generally speaking.
Yeah, true. Yeah, this style you
Wow.
see that
So,
everywhere.
but housing is getting more expensive, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. Housing as well, and
Mm.
yeah, just like everything, like pretty expensive. Man, like in Switzerland, I can't think of. I mean, it's really like rare there because I can't think of any of like the food stuff that where prices went up over the past like
What's
year or two.
Well, Switzerland is such a special case as
Yeah.
well, as But I would say, but from what I understood or what I was told in US or in North America in general, food stuff was cheaper in general. Now,
Maybe in
has it caught? Is it more expensive compared to past, or now when you're comparing it, it's more expensive compared to now Geneva?
man,
Yeah, I mean, you
I
say it's
don't
more
know. Maybe
expensive compared
it's
to past, or
it's definitely more expensive compared to past, and it's probably like catching up. And man, and like you buy stuff. I mean, the price is so misleading in in Canada because you buy something and then the value
you
added
pay the
tax
tax?
is added on
Yeah.
top there, and
God
that's a
damn.
bit. And then when you go to a restaurant, the tip is added after. So like the price that you're looking at
Wait,
the
wait, wait.
menu, and in
Tip
Canada you
is
have to tip between
optional
15,
or not?
18, and 20%. No, 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 no. In Canada, it's like literally the opposite of optional, whatever that is. It's
No, but
mandatory pretty much. I mean, like
no,
mandatory.
like, is it on your bill?
Like the machine immediately like tells you which one you want to put and then you select. I mean
Can you
it's like
like does it would you like to tip this much, this much, this much, and you say yes, or you
and
can say no. I'm
listen,
just
it's
like
just
if
it's
you're
not
cheap,
like
can you
in
say?
Europe. No, no. I mean like it's not like in Europe
I know.
or Switzerland like here because they get paid pretty much only off tips and it's like it's not
I
optional.
heard that
I don't
about
know if in
US
some
too.
places you might, yeah, US too. In some places it's literally mandatory. Some places maybe you could put the lowest amount if you have no money or leave $1 or two and then you run away. But I mean, people will,
You run away.
yeah, I mean, it's literally the opposite of optional.
This is
So,
such a, by the way, this is such a good like capitalist strategy,
yeah,
putting VAT and like just add
yeah,
service charge, and I hate it. I hate it. Like anywhere I have to tip, I despise it. Just add fucking service charge,
yeah.
and VAT is. And this is like in America it makes sense because I think they have differences of VAT in different
But you can
states, maybe
still
Canada too.
calculate in your place. What does Switzerland
Yeah,
not have
sure, sure,
different
but I
tax rates,
guess
different places? I mean, it's not.
sorry, yeah, but I'm just saying, okay, in that case, just because there is a larger country, I can see it makes sense to have, like to have the VAT separated or something. But when like you don't even have that in Iran, they're doing it, and it's so stupid, man.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
it's
so
really annoying.
ridiculous.
So I mean, honestly, like,
Although I would say I am anti-VAT largely, I do think it should be pretty much reduced to zero.
yeah, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't have a position on that.
It's a
But
it's a regret. No, I don't think
yeah,
it's
oh,
not that
you're right.
controversial.
Like
It's a
typically it is
regressive
regressive.
tax.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like in Canada, they don't put it on some products in the
Consumer goods.
supermarket. So to
Oh,
get,
same. Yeah, of
yeah,
course. Some basic
yeah.
goods.
But of course, yeah, yeah, you're right because yeah, especially on most product because the people who are buying it and everything. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, again, coming back to like whether it is expensive or not, it all really depends to like, minimum or not minimum, but like median, like, income, right? It's all relative to
Minimum
that.
and median and
Yeah.
mode. Yeah, all of that.
So
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
totally.
know. I mean, I wonder if it's yeah. So in my head, imagining the salaries that you have
No, but I
pretty
was
much
wondering.
here, it should be challenging nowadays more and more to live in Toronto. I would imagine. But there must be also a lot of work and job opportunities. I mean, I just look at buildings, I'm like, what do they do in here? How is it like, do actually people live in here? No, they're probably empty.
When construction businesses finally go down, I mean, they can't basically artificially keep it up anymore. It's going to be a bad thing. Yeah. Anyway, but I was wondering, just to clarify for myself, so like the same amount of tomato costs more now in Toronto than in Geneva?
Very good question. I mean, I don't want to give you an
Both
answer
same.
now, because I calculated it based on what's it called. There were I was buying some, like I was buying shampoo and stuff, and those, they literally seem like they were to me. I'll give them one thing here, like the standard size that they sell is a little bit bigger than in Switzerland, it
Yeah,
seems to
that's
me. But I don't know if that would make up the price. And then, even if it's a little bit cheaper than it is in Switzerland, again, it comes back to the question of the income and the salary. And I
sure.
highly
No, but
doubt
I
it's about
just
that.
wanted to.
But yeah,
I wanted to see what's the. But that is so funny when you
I would,
mentioned that. Like
I'm
my
gonna
aunt,
come back to this question, but like, I'm gonna grab some stuff and literally
you do
calculate
more
them.
primary research.
No, because exactly, because they put a little bit more or less, it could still be cheaper
Our
there.
next episode is gonna be like unpacking. Like, this is a tomato I bought
Okay.
from a local locally sourced. This is not a locally sourced tomato.
Okay, Sam, I'm gonna eat this sandwich right here, and I'll let you know what I think.
I'll tell you how delicious. Worth it. Worth it. But
Yeah.
no, yeah, but I would. That is so funny. Like, we have family members in US and Europe, and it's so funny that like whenever like somebody brings like a, I don't know, box of chocolate from US, it's like literally like it's a sack. It's like so that's the carry. Like, here's your chocolate. And then they come from Europe and they bring you this tiny rectangle shaped box with 3 chocolates with like a whiff of a strawberry, like just this one has been near to a blueberry once. It's just
No, no,
ridiculous,
seriously.
right? There,
Yeah.
it's so
But
vivid.
I
Yeah,
swear,
it's so funny.
but some of this extra quantity stuff, I swear at the end, like rips off the consumer more. Because sometimes when like,
Yeah, because you
shampoos
use
are
more.
too big or stuff like that, like it will come out faster, the liquid and all these kind of things. So I would trust less for less more than more. The manufacturer, I feel, always wins in that case. I don't know why. If not, they wouldn't do it so
I,
much.
well,
Like,
I,
they add
I think
30%
so.
to you for like 50
Yeah,
cents. I'm
yeah.
like, no, 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 I don't want.
No, I
Take
don't
your
want the 50.
30%.
No, I
There's
would say
some
it
way I'm
takes
getting scammed here. I don't know how.
with food. It takes great self-restraint. I feel
Yeah.
like whenever they sell you those big peanut stuff,
Mhm.
like they're so much cheaper. But if you buy them, you're
Yes,
gonna go through them during the whole day, like big
exactly.
peanut boxes. But
Or
with
they could
shampoo
get
and
bad
stuff,
of it.
oh, that's true too. I mean, they always,
Yeah.
when it's closer to expiry dates, they, sell it off for cheaper. With shampoo and stuff, I like variety. That's why
Mhm.
I don't like to
Oh,
buy
I
big. You
see.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like after a while,
Yeah.
yeah. So I agree with you, but it's some of times the deals. So
No,
like
no, for sure. Case
I
by
don't know.
case,
It
case by case.
depends. Yeah,
But
case by
there
case.
are some, the extra. But yeah, I'll
Because
do
I
some.
love I must say I like there is nothing like when you find a good sale in a Walmart or in a what I mean, like in a
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
that's pretty
in a
crazy. I mean, yeah.
it's like I feel like it's the same feeling that like the ancient people had when they brought down a mammoth or something together. It's like this joy, like 2 for 1 Tropicana deal. Oh my god. Like one of the greatest joys of my life. Blood
Yeah.
orange. Oh yes, thank you.
No, you're right. You're right. But okay, let me move on to another observation I've come to make, which is since I
Sure,
lived here,
that's all. Yeah.
since I've lived here, weed has been legalized in Ontario. And man, this is an article New York Times, a wild west of marijuana shops grows in Toronto. Man, every other store is selling weed. This is just like a selection of
Oh
pictures from
man,
them. It's crazy,
I'd
man.
love
Hold
to
on. Um,
go up.
so
Sorry.
there are 430 right now in Toronto only. In all of Ontario, there are 1,400 or 1,400 have been approved, 500 in the process of setting up. I mean, they're just everywhere. It's pretty crazy.
What's the okay? Give me a bit of uh, the products. Are they come from like brands? Are they homegrown? What's the
Well,
products
some of
like?
them, I think they grow in themselves. Some maybe they'll buy from somebody who grows them. I think
No,
of
so it's not like a pre-pack, like when you, it's not like a supermarket where you go and it's pre-packaged.
no, actually, you go in and there's
They
usually
sell
an
them
iPad.
loose.
No, they're actually prepackaged.
Oh, it's pre-packaged.
Prepackaged, yeah, in different sizes. Yeah. I think
Oh,
most of the
but
places I've seen, I haven't been
is
to
it
too
like
many.
that? Does it have like a, I don't know, health governmental, like
Yep.
where it says ingredients, blah blah blah,
Yep.
that
Yep.
type
Yep.
of
Yep.
background. Oh, so they're selling the same product. So are they? I'm basically saying largely they're
You
saying
see, they
selling the
come
same
in things
products or
like this. No. They're not selling the same. They can grow it themselves.
so how? Okay.
And then,
So
like
there is no
anything, like
large manufacturer
there
of
are probably
it
some,
that
there are
is.
probably some big corporations dominating it, but um, it doesn't have to be the case. You can
So
set up your
how?
own, you can grow your own, you can do everything yourself, I believe.
Okay. So, but do they? Is there like that's what? Is it a
Like any
bubble
other
basically?
business.
Is it a bubble or are they all differentiating themselves in some way or shape or form?
Man, I think
Like
that,
I can't see why can't cigarette shops like sell like I don't
well, I mean,
understand why there
the,
needs.
sorry?
I'm guessing there needs to be a special license for this shop. I'm
Yeah, you
guessing.
get a license for this shop. Yeah, you got to get approved by these guys, the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario. So, and in Ontario, it's private. So that you can go, so private people have it, but in Quebec, it's the government that runs it. So there it's government owned stores. And I guess they go and buy from big manufacturer, probably a few of them who produce a lot. Um, but here you can do your own, I think. I mean, yeah, you can do however you want, you can source it, but I'm sure it's getting
No,
dominated
I
by.
was like, how do they differentiate each shop? Like how, like what, like because you say they're very close to each other. Why would I go to this one over that?
Good question. Just like any other business. I mean, in Toronto, it's either a sushi shop it's, or one of these weed places. So I mean, same question. Why would you go into one sushi shop instead of another?
Mm.
But they
No,
sell different
so
products.
you
They don't
do
sell
feel
the
it's a
same
bit of
product.
bubble.
They don't sell the same
What's
product. Some
but
might.
if I imagine,
Food is the
I'm
same too.
imagining,
Just like any other business, really.
I know I would imagine that's the thing. I is it like food? That's the thing. Is it like a restaurant more? Each one is different, or is it more like you going to cigarette shop and buying a brand of you know what I mean? That's like what
I
I don't
think,
get. Like, is there qualitative difference in going to one over the other? That's what I'm.
yeah, I think there would be between some and some not.
Oh,
Now, to degree.
maybe,
Now,
maybe.
I don't think it's like this. If you go to each one of them, they all have different stuff. I highly
Okay,
doubt. But to what
just to find
extent?
out the truth, just for the sake of the truth, think you should visit
I,
every single every single week.
man, there are so many. I couldn't believe it. I
You have to
couldn't believe it.
sacrifice your throat for
And
the
man,
greater.
another funny thing is in Switzerland, everything is closed on a Sunday, right? Like literally nothing's open. Even
Yeah.
supermarkets are closed.
Fucking yeah, or
So
your
we arrived here on a Sunday. I was like,
Easter.
oh, even if some of them are open, I'm sure they're closed early at like 6 or 8. See, open until 10:30. I'm like, what is going on here?
No, man,
Their
it's a real
Sunday
society.
schedule was the same as their weekly schedule. They're open from 10:30 to 10:30 every day. I was like, what? Is that
Yeah, because it's a
legal?
day. It's because it's I'm sorry, but it's not some made up like fantasy of life where you work 5 hours and government provides everything for you, like Switzerland, where because you basically hid gold, and stolen money, like you get to live. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's real fucking life. I hated Europe in that sense, man. You come back. I fucking hated it. You come back from
Oh,
university
pump
at
the
like
brakes, pump the brakes.
5:30, and then all the shops were closed at 6. I mean, this is, and Thatcher, the person who ruined British economy, she got defeated all throughout her career once over one bill, and that was the bill that tried to allow shops to, like, if you want, you can be open on Sunday. That's what she got defeated on, not anything else. That, like,
Listen,
fucking lazy
Sunday is for
Europeans.
family and God,
Fuck
okay?
off. Yeah, ignoring your family, not going to church. Yeah. I call, yes, Swiss. I mean, Swiss are religious somewhat, from what I remember, relative to British. But yeah, it's BS. Man, I hated it. This was one of the biggest things I hate. Like, this was the biggest thing I hated. Like that, and the way they treated water in general.
Mm.
Yeah, that. Sorry.
No worries.
You mentioned they close at 6, and I'm just
All right.
nightmares. I'm
Let me
PTSD.
wrap up. Let me wrap up my segment of the chit chat finally with this, which is on the plane. I started the new Dexter and I've already finished it. And
How's it?
nostalgic, Dexter is still fun a bit, but nothing
I hear
compared
very
to the
bad things.
previous one. So I mean, it just makes it like an okay show. I mean, it's not like that deep and stuff, but at the end, and
I
I think, yeah,
really love the act.
yeah.
Oh, don't tell me then.
But man, do you
Much.
remember this has the shitty, like, I mean, the shittiest opener, especially compared to the opener of the first one. The opener of the first
Oh
one,
yeah,
when he's eating his
so good.
steak
The
and
opener.
eggs and squeezing the orange
No,
juice and making the
it's
coffee
bacon.
and shit.
Bacon.
Oh,
Yes,
bacon? Yeah, yeah,
breakfast.
true.
Yeah, I think it's breakfast. Yeah, yeah. So good. And they
It's
have
it's
dun, dun,
yeah,
dun. Yeah, it's so good.
puts barbecue
Oh man.
sauce on it. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. I had fun watching it. I think maybe I fell asleep for like an episode and a half or so, but
Wow,
I
okay.
enjoy.
That's not good.
No, listen, like, but the plot and stuff was in a way that literally, if you like watch 5 minutes of the episode, you knew everything.
Was there an arc again? Like
Mm,
throughout this series?
yes, in the same extent, but his arc is he doesn't really have an
And
arc,
his
right? He
son
goes
is,
around in circles. So
yeah, his son is coming back or some shit.
his son
Or
is there,
what?
yeah.
Ah, that sounds awful.
But
That was
yeah.
the when he started having a family and shit, it all went down, I think.
But yeah. But okay, that's it on my side. What do you have here?
I think you
Oh
can put the
ho.
picture of, yeah.
Is
So
that what you're eating
you
right
go,
now?
yeah, you go to wheat shops. I go to
I
groceries.
never said I went, okay? Everything was done through online research, okay?
Sure,
I
sure,
sent in
yeah.
my wife. I was
All
like, go in
online.
there, come back and tell me what it's like.
Just tell me. I'm not gonna even look. Just no, man. Yeah, man. It's the season of fresh nuts. So I'm going crazy. I'm going nuts on nuts. That's a good one.
Good one,
But
good
yeah,
one.
yeah, very good.
Original.
But yeah, very original. But man, fresh pistachios, they're so fucking good.
Mm.
They're so fucking good. Yeah, I think in America and Canada you can get them actually. Not so much in Europe, but no.
I mean, I've only had them in Iran, but I think here you can also find them places, but I can't think about having. I just remember eating them in Iran, but I'm sure.
Man, they are. I mean, Jesus Christ, they are amazing. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
so
they're
good.
probably my second favorite after the ones that have been like salted and like put like oil added to them, right? Like, so I like those ones the most.
No,
Then this probably, I like this more than the other
Dry.
form of like natural dry unsalted.
I mean, they're all good, obviously, but yeah, no, I think this is my favorite. Then the salted
This has to
ones,
be the
and
most
then,
natural one. Sorry. This
yeah.
has to be the healthiest
I
one
mean,
for sure.
and you know, like my grandmother used to, with the skin, you can make jam.
Oh, really?
You know, like
Wow.
if yeah, you put the
In
nice
Iran, they make
protein,
jam out of everything.
everything. Yes, like the most disgusting. Give it to me. Yeah, sucks. You sucks. Give them. I'll make jam. Like, come on, it's dirty. Sucks. No, it's good. But
yeah, my mom and grandma always make crazy jams and bring them over to.
yeah, man, they make that fucking orange blossom jam. I hate that. My
That
grandmother always
I don't
makes
like
that.
orange jam.
I mean, no, orange jam is good. This is orange blossom. It's that flower, white thing. It's that smells really creepy. But yeah, man, I'm having the time of my life because it's very short season, and also look at this. You see, I'm just, this is educational
What is
segment of our
that?
program. What this looks like shit, right? I mean, quite frankly, it looks like a turd. Literally
like
a turd.
peanut. That's how her poop looks like. My dog, like 3 or 4 of those.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, what is
Yeah,
this?
exactly. What is it? This is Iranian fix. This is like a
Ah,
purple fix, I guess, not white fix,
interesting.
right? Man, if you go, for example, in Turkey, you find, if you in Istanbul, right? The figs are this big. The figs are like an apple, the size of an apple. You can bite them. In Iran, figs are like tiny, shitty looking. They look like a kid who's been bullied his
But
whole life.
have these
Spat
been
on.
dried? Have these been dried?
No. This is fresh. This is fresh figs. Yeah.
Wow.
No. This is the dried ones looks even smaller. But this is tastes like,
Let's see what it's
like sugar, man. It's sugar. It's fucking sugar.
That's amazing.
It's so good. It looks like shit. It's a small, Iranian fruits, man. I love that. It's just, they look like shit, but they taste so good.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know if you know this, like 1/3 of fruits they throw away in some countries. Like, I think it was in America. I'm not sure. I'm sure it happens in Iran more so nowadays with supermarkets. But thankfully, most people still go to the municipality, like or even the shops that are more successful are the ones with this type of thing. Still people know fruit. Nobody buys the good looking stuff.
No, I mean, that is so like deep into Iranian culture that it would take generations to.
Yeah, I hope so. There is still the culture of people buying watermelon, picking it up, putting their ears to it. It's very nice.
Awesome.
But yeah, man.
So you've been eating these and watching these videos? What the hell is this?
Yes. Man, this is the best YouTube channel fucking ever. This is, oh my God. When I was a kid, I knew these were available. These are, I did fencing.
Yeah.
Play a bit, and this is apparently in Japan. A channel called Weaponism. It's the best.
Let's watch a bit.
See with the...
Damn.
The other one is cooler, but this one had fencing. By the way, let us know if that one is a sickle or what.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Man, this one was my favorite. I watched all their videos. This one was the best.
Let's watch a bit of this. Yeah, Damn, the filming is surreal. The
Yeah.
editing.
They're all like actual martial artists.
Damn. Oh. Pretty crazy shit, I must say.
It's goddamn awesome. It is, man. But I swear to God, I remember I went to a couple of karate classes when I was like 6 or 7, and this bullshit asshole teacher showed up. Karate is about controlling your blah blah blah. Do this, do that. Giving you these losers who didn't become anything in their life, but it like teacher to 5-year-olds giving philosophy lessons about how karate is actually ancient.
You know, it's such a
if I had
shame,
seen
man.
this, I would be.
Man, it's such
so
a shame.
cool.
Those karate classes are such a waste of time. You know, like send kids 2 or 3 times per week. It's that much time. I mean, it's such a waste of time. 90% of them are crap. A small portion are good. Now, some might come and say, oh, I mean, it's better than if a kid does nothing. Sure. I mean, if you're not going to put your kid in any class, sure. But if not all the other martial arts, like so many of them, they'll learn actual things. So like some of those karate ones are just like
karate is basically dancing.
No, there is like, you know, a side that can be taught, like, you know, the more practical parts of it only and focused on that. But yeah, they love going down more the other routes.
I hate when they mix philosophy with the sports, first of all. Second of all, karate is specifically, as I understand from my very limited. But this is so cool. Like, if kids see this, do you think they won't exercise? There will be no fat people left. Like, after seeing this, then my nephew came over, and this is what he had bought.
Oh my God.
And oh my, like, man, I'm doing this. Our YouTube channel is, we are not a politics channel anymore. We are not law course. We are fighting. I haven't, it's just me and my nephew now. Anybody else? It's so cool, man. I want
to. That's pretty awesome.
Is that? Yeah, right. I'm gonna play with him tomorrow. It's gonna be fucking awesome. But yeah, it's the best thing in life. I want to go to this school. I don't know if there is one in Iran. If anybody knows, let us know.
But okay. All right. Should we go to some viewer comments?
Yeah, sure. I think it's good time.
All right, Sam, let's move on to some viewer comments. Carrotmoth commented for the first time in a while. Seems to have gone, you know, through some things with her dog passing away, it seems, and then her getting a new dog. And
that was really sad. But she said there is one part, I swear it's not, I mean, look, I'm just not, no worries, disrespect me as much as you like. I'm just not, I mean, that's my problem. But yeah, sounds like really bad. 2 dogs right after each other. But I'm guessing they were old, so maybe.
And
he was part dingo. That's pretty cool, I thought, right?
Huh?
I didn't know you can mix. The dog was part dingo.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I didn't know dingo, and I knew about wolf and dogs, but I didn't know. I had no idea. But that's pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, I kept them with me at all times to make sure they never bit anyone or killed any birds. Very nice. Yeah. I didn't know you could, get one and bring it to Canada, or you could even do that. It's interesting.
No, I don't know. But yeah.
But now she has a new doggy. That's also good though. But I have a new puppy to train.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Yeah, let us know.
But yeah, very sad. 2 doggies. Back to back must be very tough.
One of my friend's dogs recently, she took it to a park, and then she sent me a picture. She suddenly when they came back, the dog almost like an allergic reaction, like
Oh,
the faces started. It's a German Shepherd.
shit.
It started to swell up and
Yeah.
all that, and then they took it to a doctor, and it said it was probably like a bug
B?
or something sting it. Yeah, yeah, it's not a bee, but some other
Yeah.
thing. But yeah,
Is he okay
yeah,
now?
yeah, he's better.
Good.
Apparently, he's fine. Yeah,
Back on his
but
feet.
I had a
Back out there earning, making a living, putting food on the
making a
table.
to be fair, to be fair, I mean, to be completely honest, frankly, my friend has not been best at training the dog,
Oh,
so he's doing what he's always been
oh,
doing, which is jumping on the table and
I
all that.
see.
So I had a tragic week a bit with animal. I feed animals in my grandma's garden, not animals, cats in my
Yeah.
grandma's garden. I just leave them food and shit. One of them we found the dead body. It was quite sad.
Oh no.
So I think it might have been hit by a car. So it just
Mm.
went there and lied there, it seems,
Oh shit.
or something.
Poor guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tehran's
I mean,
Cat City, huh?
Yeah, Tehran. It's yeah, not quite as. I mean, now it is. I think now it's like Istanbul because it's just everybody's feeding cats, so
Yeah.
it's just they've become very relaxed. Back in the days, they were
Amen.
very edgy, like
Yeah. People were mean to cats. I mean, when I grew up, people everybody was mean to cats and
awful.
hated them and never considered them as of course, a pet or anything like that. Just
Well,
trying
yeah,
to
I
make sure
remember.
they don't sleep on your car or get in your garage. That's the only or
Yeah,
eat
yeah.
your
Well,
garbage.
I mean, the garbage thing was because
Understandable.
back in the days they open up the garbage
Yeah.
and they pour it everywhere. The car thing also understandable because in winter they go inside the car, they
Yeah.
sleep there, and if you're not careful, you start the car, the poor animal might actually that happened
Yeah.
to one of our So those things are, but yeah, I remember kids when I was child, like I used to kick cats
Mm.
or that type of thing. The stories. I never, I really like cats because they're
And
cool.
and cats are also not viewed as pets, right? I'm sure some Iranians have cats, and I remember I had a
Oh,
neighbor
now
who
it
had cats
is.
as a
Now it
pet.
is
But yeah, okay, yeah, in the 90s,
very,
back in my days,
it's
early revolution days, Sam, only
early,
11 years after the revolution.
only after the leader of liberation and everybody involved have died. Only after that. Yeah, sure. No, but I must say there is this new. I'm, we talk about Vestaks, but I do feel this is like a very Iranians again trying to become every other person I know is having a cat and on
Oh,
Instagram. This is
yeah.
this is
You
chill
should
the
go
fuck
show them,
out.
be like, you remember 90s, this was you.
Yeah, you are kicking the cats in the stomach.
Yeah.
Oh, my cat is sick too. I can't. Not that again. It's very sad.
Yeah,
It's
no, in my
just
parents'
yeah.
building, they
I
people
feel like
put money together and for this cat who got injured, and then one person took him to their home after the cat went to the vet. And I was like, man, I clearly remember like cats were like, they were like, oh, get the cat to go away and all that back in the day. But
yeah,
now, yeah,
they were a
exactly. But hey, I'm
discriminated
glad this
minority.
evolution. I welcome it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, cats are cute
No, no,
too.
no. No, I think besides that's a great development. I think besides that development, you also have this in Novorish, like
Yeah.
trying to suddenly
Oh,
we are just like
yeah.
European or just it's just it feels very fake, phony, very phony.
I mean,
So a
but
lot of
cats are cute though. It's something like, if you play with them for a bit, then you realize that, wait, why did I why did I hate this animal?
no,
Yeah.
they're cool, but at the same time, though, I mean, look, I believe their pee is considered a chemical weapon by UN. So there is also. No, I'm just saying. No, again, I feed them. I'm okay with. I'm
Okay,
cool with
we're not. This is not about
that.
you, okay? Sam, how many
You're
cats have you killed
I'm just
this
saying.
week?
Did you kill this cat? Was this a confession? I'm just saying there's a phoniness to this.
Sure.
And with dogs too. Some people with dogs too. They
Yeah.
put they put the dogs in a little baggie and then walk around like that. And
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I don't like fun.
The same here.
Sorry.
Okay, what's this next one about? Oh, this one just about
Wow. Esoteric occultists seem to just hate watches us sometimes or something, or I don't know, maybe he likes some of. I hope he likes the jokes, but yeah, he's introduced some channels. I genuinely checked them out, man. I checked out 3 of them. I checked out Actual Justice Warrior, Salty Cracker. No, 4 of them.
okay.
Stykes, Hexenhammer, whatever, and Dr. Steve Turley. And I also somebody said that the guy who I said, the Lebanese muscle guy, his name is Haz, and I found him. So we're gonna have a segment kind of about. Haz, I think, is probably different from these guys. Well, I must say I didn't like any of. Actual Justice Warrior was kind of interesting, but yeah, a lot of all the content. I didn't see a lot of content. I just saw bits of the recent stuff, and it was all how they were anti student loans. And by the way, the Dr. Steve Turley one came out the most, like, he was the weirdest one out of. I thought this Styex Hexahammer are gonna be weird, but
Yeah.
no. Yeah. But
Interesting.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
genuinely gave them a shot. But if you give maybe if they have a good video, send the link to that. But overall, I yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't check them out. I think
No,
never heard of
but
it.
we're gonna play the Huz one. It's gonna be fun, hopefully.
Okay, here. So user 1990, we're gonna come back to this Maupin question. So all the Caleb
No, he's
Maupin
the one who
stuff,
also
we'll talk about in the Caleb Maupin segment.
Iran Caleb Maupin.
Yeah. Are you guys trying to? Okay, Jared. I guess this has to do with Caleb Maupin as well, perhaps. But we'll talk
I
about that.
think so,
Hopefully,
right?
we're not doing that or coming off that way. But hey, who knows? Again, Brandon Burks. We'll come back to the Caleb Maupin one. We'll try to
That's why
giggle
I think
less.
Jared.
Yeah, Jared. They both have some really bad takes lately. All right, we'll get to
I
all that, Jared.
I would. The only thing I would say, I rewatched it relative to us, which I used to, like, never let you talk or anything. Uh, I feel like we did actually for that specific video. I feel like we didn't interrupt too much, like for
Yeah.
that 2 minutes, for just that 2 minutes. But we'll do it again.
But we probably spoke over Caleb, so we'll play the clip more clearly this time and say how we interpret this clip, and then from that premise on, we'll go about to give our criticism, because there's some people who don't even agree with the version that what we heard. So I mean, if we can't agree on that premise, we can't then go on to address the point that he makes. But so we'll listen to the whole thing.
Fair enough.
But what's this comment about?
Oh, it was he talk again before we go into Caleb and Iran. I like to talk a bit about Middle East, because Brendan Burke said that he's maybe interested to know. Basically, I wanted to talk about Middle East. This is a topic I've been wanting to talk about, and I'm looking for an excuse. So I'm gonna compare what happened with nationalism in Ottomans with Iran a bit through a specific word. Actually, it's gonna be interesting. Right?
Okay, sounds good. So we shall come back to this as well. And okay, so that's all the viewer comments, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All the important.
So that was quick. So we'll come back to most of them in the Caleb segment. Okay, should we go watch this Q&A that the Vanguard boys did again and doubled down and everything?
Yes. There's 2 points of really interesting, which we have to watch.
All right, folks. So the Vanguard boys keep on giving us material on this Aaron Maté stuff, and everybody seems to be
and
loving
we're gonna
it.
Milk it.
The videos are doing great. And again, they do a Q&A, and I was surprised at again their approach. So let's watch a bit of this without interruption, a minute or two, and then we'll pause and comment a bit, perhaps. Although there's not much to say, you can literally go read the viewer comments of this video on YouTube, and everything's there.
Mel for the $5. Oh God, I knew we were gonna have to talk about this.
I got you, Gavin. I got this. Look, one, Aaron Maté. I liked the guy. I thought he was fine. I don't give a shit, right? We have massive political disagreements, whatever. But missed me with all the fucking pearl clutching about all this shit. Have you ever heard of the Jimmy Dore show? The number one fucking criticism that people lobby at the Jimmy Dore show, fucking second home to Aaron Maté, is that his fucking candor is like fucking, too vulgar, or that he's like too abrasive, and everybody's always like, oh, you're just tone policing him. So for that, it was just so ironic and so laughable that we would get like pushback from people who are Jimmy Dore stands that are like, you guys were rude to Aaron Maté. It's like, look, he's a big fucking boy. He wants to send me an email and say you were fucking rude to me. Maybe I would say, okay, hey man, sorry it went down like that. But this fucking mob of people that love it when people get their ass ripped on the internet, like, no, sorry. I don't fucking feel bad about it. I don't think Gavin should apologize. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, basically. And I guess we can segue into the next super chat, which is unrelated news. Why did your interview with Maté sound like the Cenk interview of Brie? So again, like Zach said, I'm willing to admit that it wasn't my best performance.
You're mute, I think.
Oh, sorry. I'm saying, you could never argue with them because you wouldn't agree with the premise, which is like they like view the whole experience of what happened totally differently. So you're like, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, are we talking
too.
about the same thing?
No, but
what the hell were they talking about? Yeah.
I mean, his coffee was flowing off. Yeah, he was like.
I think coffee has a different effect on the Vanguard boys. It seems they say coffee. What kind of coffee is this?
That must be hell of. I think they may be drinking cocaine, pure cocaine instead of cocaine. But yeah, they got. It's so funny that Zach got so.
Yeah, why?
Really angry. I don't know what and. Look, maybe he disagrees with the criticisms, right? He says your criticism sucks, whatever.
But he doesn't agree even with a bit of it, or like he's just in complete denial, like as if it's just like 20 people who are saying that. Like, I mean, if your channel takes a hit like that and it's so overwhelming, you got to tell yourself a bit, okay, is there something there? I mean, not this many people can be wrong.
I don't know about that.
And he keeps on talking about Jimmy Dore. I mean, Jimmy Dore didn't even come up.
I agree with that. No, yeah, I agree with the Jimmy. I think there's a significant obsession with Jimmy Dore, and I think we play a bit more that proves that. But I don't necessarily agree with if your channel takes a big hit, you have to like. People are not exactly.
No, I'm not saying everything that people are saying is true, right?
Stupid either.
No, but listen, if there are 20 comments left on your channel that get 300, 200, 100 likes each, I mean, one or two of them, I think, might be saying something reasonable.
No, I mean, yes, if that many people point something out, there is something there. Not this,
that's all I'm saying.
That's the point I was trying to make, though, that even let's say you disagree with the point, I don't like your bitterness about Jimmy Dore and about other stuff is coming out. And then, that was the familiar phrase. Solgato, I think, left a comment on our show one time or something, right?
Which one? The previous one?
Solgato. The person was
Solgato.
asking. Yeah, I think on the Vanguard videos. Yeah. So that's what I meant about familiar face. Yeah.
Thank you.
But I think we should play from up to minute 25, to be honest.
From here until 25?
Or from minute 22 to 25,
yeah.
Maybe. That's a bit shorter, more precise.
That's better. Oh, there we go.
Beyond that, they actually praise her for being an anti-establishment politician who's trying to fight the deep state and act like she's something that she's not. And I do have a problem with that. I don't think that we should be allowing or enabling literal fascists in our movement. I don't think we should be working with literal fucking fascists and fascist sympathizers. So, that's just me. That's how I feel about it. I tried to express that. I understand that it probably didn't come off the best to a lot of people. So, I'm not perfect. Sorry that every debate performance isn't like a 10 out of 10, whatever, but that is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be too hard on yourself. And no offense to you, Salgado, but it really just comes across like the people who need Jimmy Dore to frame everything in before they can have a fucking opinion about it. It's so fucking obvious. Look, what happened with that Aaron thing was he knew he was getting his ass destroyed in that debate by having the simp for a fucking war criminal that had absolutely nothing to contribute to the show except being a broken clock that Aaron could put up and have spout the opinion that Aaron wanted to, and he knew we were clobbering him for that. So what happened was Gavin.
I mean, he was simping for war criminal. Like what they mean Putin? I'm guessing, right? And the bit again, I think he's bitter about Jimmy Dore and Jackson Hinkle basically. That seems to be the main issue they have, right? Mute. You're mute.
Sorry, oh my god. And again, like, yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, it's insane how bitter they are towards them. You're 100% right. And then Gavin, like, again, I said, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, maybe your debate performance wasn't the best. I could do it, but I mean, like,
yeah.
It's like, it's like when you talk like on mainstream media, sometimes you watch mainstream media or mainstream politicians, and it's really frustrating because they pretend like they're agreeing to your criticism, but they're just repeating a totally different criticism that they've made up. And he's doing that. It's like, no, wait, you just created. Yeah, and like you created your own argument, like a counter argument, and then you're like, oh no, yeah, that's bullshit. I mean, nobody's saying your performance was bad in a debate, because it wasn't really a debate, and it wasn't that your performance was bad, it's how rude you came off at all of that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, the issue, I mean, the issue is it. I mean, I'll at the end, I think we can specifically refer to it, but the McGregor one, there is within 5 minutes, there is a point when Aaron says that I can see your point, but you know, we disagree on that. But he continues to push back on the same point. Yeah. So it's a bit, you know, ridiculous. And then the Jackson Hinkle one, is really interesting. Now, yeah, continue to play, I guess, until minute 25, and then I'll come back to it.
And pivoted to a new question where he was asking Aaron, and this, you guys can play the fucking clip. I've watched it back. He goes on and Gavin wants to ask him about this new like left-right populist thing going on, and Aaron gets all fucking uppity because he knows exactly what he's talking about, the people that he constantly indulges at all times to pay his bills, and he gets all pissed off and he's like, well, what do you even mean? And Gavin's like, you know what I mean, the guys like Aaron. Jimmy Dore and Jackson Hinkle who constantly make this kind of content. This would have been a absolute non-issue in any other framing. Like, let's imagine for a second,
what are they talking about? Aaron Maté got up in arms after like half an hour of them being complete douchebag children laughing in his face.
No. Forget about the half an hour.
Yeah.
What did Gavin say that made Aaron go, hang on a minute, I think I should respond now? What was this specific thing? He said, you're cozying up to these people. Okay, language, I thought, has meaning. He didn't say, what do you think of these people? What do you think of these two people that have emerged? Or what do you think of this Ben Norton tweet? He said Ben Norton tweeted about the people you are cozying up to, and what they thought Aaron is going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to let that go. I mean, who's going to let that go? So he's completely misrepresenting the situation. It wasn't about Aaron trying to, he did answer his questions and all that. It was very much about the cozying up mention.
100%. Play a bit more.
Yeah, sure.
Right. That you know, it just like that we're having Ron Placone on to react to something that like Crystal Ball said, right? And like, oh, do you fucking agree with this? And then Ron loses him. You should have Crystal here, goddamn. It's like, no, dude, we just fucking asked for your opinion about this random thing because we use these big names in our fucking thing as framing for good conversation, right? We've done it a million times, and he loses his fucking mind because he can't stand the fact that he's fucking associated with the guy that's gonna tweet shit like, you're a femcel if you're a woman and you don't like Andrew Tate, or like Putin is based. Ask me why. It's because it's fucking embarrassing for him, and I can't imagine what it feels like to have to fucking defend that shit. So no fucking shit he got angry. Okay. Yeah. Women who don't like Andrew Tate are just femcels. Putin is the top G right now. You have to be dumb as rocks. Do you guys think I'm ever gonna fucking bend an inch with this bullshit? Of course not, dude. This guy's a fucking clown. Like, it's fucking
Bending.
ridiculous. 5 days
Wow.
into the carnivore diet. Are you fucking kidding me? This guy wants to be the liver king. Okay, it's fucking stupid. So no, I don't care about that guy. I don't want to debate that guy. I want to know what if you think that this is a problem, that this is where the fucking left is going through. A year ago, this guy was making a video that said "Rest in power, Ruth Bader Ginsburg," and now he's saying Putin is based. And you don't think that's indicative of any fucking change?
Pause.
This is,
Jeez, man, the obsession with this Jackson Hinkle guy,
Jackson
man.
Hinkle.
But with this Vanguard shit
That's the
happening,
thing,
I didn't
somebody-
realize how many people hate them. I really didn't think they were this big to have this many
Vanguard
people hate the
Yeah.
Vanguard. Yeah,
Because of Jimmy Dore thing, maybe.
yeah.
Or maybe because they're shit, frankly. I mean, the thing is, yeah, I mean, we said we don't like Jackson Hinkle show at all, but like as somebody put, the jealousy oozes out of them, and the jealousy towards Jackson Hinkle and the bitterness towards Jimmy Dore, which has, again, what does that have to do with Aaron Maté?
Yeah,
Like, okay, you can ask, do you think it's right to associate with these people? That's as for, but when you say, are you cozying up to them? Are you enabling them? Well,
no, I
the
mean,
motherfucker is gonna answer. What do you expect the guy to do? Not answer you?
just their
He's-
interpretation and the way they recalled that interview is so strangely off that, you know, there's not much really to say to them.
Yeah, and
I mean, the way that they present the facts, you're like, okay, yeah, sure. Did Aaron Maté really get that pissed off when you like asked that question? But of course, the way they're recalling the whole
got
interview
a
right
bit
now is complete
upset.
bullshit. Yeah, of course, half an hour into that
But
with
wouldn't
that
you
many,
be
yeah,
if somebody
exactly.
said-
Not like all up in arms, and especially compared to them, he was far more relaxed. So
Yeah.
I mean, if he was upset, what were
Exactly.
they?
Oh, that's true. That's true. And then, if you recall, he's like, yeah, you're cozying up to these people. And Aaron
Mhm.
is like, what
Yeah,
did you
this
say?
is like
And he's like,
accusation.
Aaron, you get your chance to answer. Aaron, you get your
Yeah.
chance to.
That's not a question. That's
Jesus,
an
man.
accusation.
Yeah, it's like people who work for fucking CNN and stuff are not this. Anyway,
Yeah. But
what a
very
loser.
surprising. Any other parts you want to play?
no. Oh, yes. This is the more fun part. Wait, let's see. Was it 127 to 130? Because oh my God, you check this out. Yeah, we're from 127.
like, shush him. He would have fucking come over the top and somebody, like, it was just, we got like random flu. Vosh wasn't feeling that like fucking spicy that day. And the last thing I want to say about this, because this has been burned in my mind for a really long time and I have to fucking get it out to our audience. The same people, this literal same people that gave us oceans and oceans and oceans of comments defending Aaron Maté, saying why would he derail his entire conversation that was about something else, were the same exact people who for months and months, when we were having an actual heated discussion with Ryan Grimm about the infrastructure bill, right? Not only did the audience, which is their right, to fucking get in and demand that we just completely reframe the conversation, Jimmy Dore himself not only starts sending us Twitter DMs live while we're doing our fucking show, calling us fucking cowards and saying that we won't push back on Ryan Grimm over Syria, something that is far as fuck from what we were talking about, not even remotely related, like what we called out Aaron for, not even remotely related. We were talking about U.S. domestic infrastructure policy, and he wants us to fucking get into a 2-year-old argument about what happened in Syria for no fucking reason. All of the people, all of you who just wait for Jimmy Dore to tell you what your opinion is, you just flipped like a fucking switch and gave yourself away. Why would Aaron fucking change the conversation? I like Aaron and Jimmy. That's my response. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I hate Ryan Grimm. I want you to fucking argue with him about this shit. Do you understand how fucking terrible that? Ryan Grimm isn't responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Iraqis. Okay? He wasn't. He's not proudly talking that it was touting on his fucking contract military website consulting firm that his strategy was the one that was used to secure this mission in Iraq. No, he's just a fucking DC bureau chief that wants people to have healthcare and free college. Okay, so get your fucking warped minds together and stop fucking asking us about this shit.
Yeah, moving on. That's the last word on the subject. And again, with all that said, no hard feelings against Aaron. It's nothing personal. We're all just, commentators, journalists, whatever. Obviously, he's a journalist. I'm a commentator. I know. But, Yeah.
He also pretended that he doesn't react to fucking commentary. I was like, bro, you were on Useful Idiots.
Pause.
I don't react to other people's content. You just did for 3.
Before going to this point, did you see the obsession with the 2 years ago? Jimmy Dore DM'd you, or I don't know, send you a message. He didn't take you hostage or anything. What is okay? You didn't do it, man. It's fine. He asked you to do something. You didn't do it. It's over. Like, I don't know what was the Jimmy Dore's.
He's trying to
big
point out
crime here.
hypocrisy. He's trying to point out,
What's-
hypocrisy on the side of the people saying that, oh, you asked
Or
Aaron
you don't,
Maté an
you don't call
unrelated
out Ryan
question.
Graham.
But no, you asked Aaron, you didn't ask, you asked Aaron Maté an unrelated question, but back in the day, you didn't want to do the same thing for Ryan Grimm. So is that trying to call on the hypocrisy?
I think the hypocrisy, I think the hypocrisy they're pointing out is that Douglas McGregor wasn't as
No.
Yeah,
No, he's saying him in
saying.
his interview, he's saying that people were accusing us to, asking him randomly about Jackson Hinkle, but those same people wanted us to randomly ask Ryan Grimm about Iraq.
No, but
Yeah, I'm pretty
at
sure.
one point, maybe that too, but at some point he says, they say under Aaron, why didn't he push back? They say that
Perhaps I didn't get that.
they compare Ryan to the guy who has a website who had a plan about killing Iraqis.
No,
That
I think that was
McGregor,
just
I'm
made
guessing.
up. Oh yeah, true. Sorry, that's McGregor. Yeah,
That's McGregor.
but that's a different. Yeah.
Website. So I guess they're saying, all right, they're saying,
Oh, maybe that too. You're right. Now I get it.
Hypocrisy there.
I get it.
Again, let's go, man. And then
Let's play this part.
yeah. So Nana play this, but this is another very stupid, I think, remark he makes.
3 hours, and it was the most viewed content you'll make all week.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it gets a little spicy. That's just the way it goes. This is fucking YouTube debate lord shit. Like, what do you want? Again, go fucking watch Cornell West lecture at a university if you need civility and politeness. Like, give me a fucking break. Thank you, Lloyd, though. Really appreciate you.
Look, man, they feel like, and I think partially they may be right, but that's like a subjective opinion, whatever, who gives a shit anyways. They feel like Aaron thinks they're better than them, and it's probably in their head. I think it's in their head. I don't think Aaron really thinks. I don't know. Most people don't go around thinking,
yeah,
I'm bad. Most people go around thinking, I'm worse than everyone.
No, I mean,
like,
listen, Aaron is far more, Aaron would be right to think that he has achieved far more in his career than them so far, but he's also like 14 years older than
That's
these
true,
guys.
yeah.
Aaron.
It's not a competition.
It's not a competition
Life
anyways, but he's far ahead in his career. Aaron did this stuff for the Real News Network back in the day, worked for Democracy Now!, works for Gray Zone, has written all these things. But I mean, he's so far ahead in his career anyway, if you were to think that like that, which is stupid anyway. But
I'm just saying, the only thing that I can explain this in this behavior is that it's like a chip on a shoulder type thing. You know what I mean? Like, he pretended that he didn't comment on videos like we did. Like, okay, all right, or he did. It's just he's so butthurt about that.
And the nature of even his Useful Idiots content is different. Not that there's anything wrong with the Vanguard Boys content, but that one they're watching shows, and Aaron really sticks mainly to the content, to cylinders, to cylinders. So
to Syria.
Yeah, sure. And Aaron Maté's point is that, of course, he's more of a journalist than a YouTuber. Not that that's a bad thing. If I would pick a YouTuber, if someone told me, Cam, to be honest, journalist or YouTuber, pick quickly, I would say YouTuber. Like, one is not better or worse than the other one. It's
definitely.
Just a matter of facts and statements about Aaron Maté's life.
To be honest, I think, to be honest, if you do any work in your life, you're losing. The goal here is to do minimum effort for maximum, returns. So,
But yeah, I think that's that with this. So shall we move on? I think that's it with the Vanguard Boys. I mean, it's been 2 weeks we've been. Aaron Maté forgotten about this interview, but.
We are going. We keep it.
Call Aaron. I'm calling Aaron.
No, but I must say, I liked how you uploaded the last Vanguard video, the short one, right with another video. Are you trying to shame YouTube algorithm into showing you our other videos too? Like, because the Vanguard videos are the only ones doing great. So I'm gonna put two together. Frankfurt School, show it. Come on, I dare you to show it to two people.
Not much can be done there. What Cenk here? What was Cenk saying?
Oh man, I saw Michael Cohen. You remember who the fuck Michael Cohen is, right?
I know a lot of Cohens on TV, but
no, nothing really. Come on, man. He was turning into Joe Biden. Come on. But he was the lawyer. He was Trump's one of his lawyers, fixers. He was the one who paid the
I remember his name.
And
this is not him though.
Yeah, this is him.
Oh, really? I never saw him. Okay.
Yeah. Oh man, he's so funny. He's the biggest loser pretty much in America. Like Trump, I think Trump had him pay from his own account, the porn star or something. Just such an idiot. Just play. But now, he went to jail. Then he wrote one book. Now he's written apparently another book. Just play the first 2 minutes. It just, TYT is a joke, but and he's a joke, and it's just the whole thing is such a joke. I saw this, and I was like, Cenk, Michael Cohen, thank you.
Let's watch 2 minutes.
All right, Donald Trump's of course back in the news. He always in the news, never leaves. And there's someone who's turned evidence against him. It's not Michael Cohen. This time it's Alan Weisselberg. But Michael Cohen does join us. His former lawyer and his former fixer talk to us about it. Michael is also the host of Mea Culpa. That's his hit podcast. And he wrote a book earlier called Disloyal, a memoir. That was a New York Times bestseller. He's got a new one coming out called Revenge: How Donald Trump Weaponized the US Department of Justice against his critics. And that is also very timely given the discussion of Department of Justice.
Yeah, talk about being prescient, right, Cenk? This is exactly what Donald Trump does. He turns around and he takes things that he knows is negative to him because he's the one who created the headache, and then he applies it to himself as if he's the victim. That, oh my God, the Biden administration, the Democrats are weaponizing the Justice Department to go against him. But this is your show, Cenk, so I'm gonna let you lead the questions.
Yeah, so no, but that is an excellent point. And that's exactly what he did with the term, for example, fake news. So I don't have a lot of respect for Donald Trump's IQ, but he is good with.
Man, these two look like they could be friends. Imagine drinking at a bar together and just getting louder and louder. Oh, listen, Cenk, 100% right.
Cenk.
No, you're 100% right. Cenk. By the way, bro, it's Cenk, not Cenk. My bad, man. Another round.
Bro, you know Trump is like that. You know Trump is like that
cartoon character.
The dog, dog that didn't, figure out how to catch the cat. He's like that, But that's your show, Cenk. It's just dumb and dumber. Really
seriously.
And what is going on with Cenk's health, and why is he so red and so sweaty? And they have a studio, they have a budget. Can't somebody do that thingy they do that put powder on you? I don't know. What is going on?
No amount of makeup would make up
for
Michael
Cohen. Michael Cohen, a former convict
from jail, possibly here. It's unclear.
From jail, or worse, his own house, probably in worse conditions. But yeah, man, Michael Cohen was such a fun character. His best moment was when he did the hearing. He came to Senate or Congress, I forget, or House or Senate, whatever, and he was like, "Yes, I know what I'm gonna say is gonna be very shocking, but I'm gonna say it. Mr. Trump is a liar." And everybody went, "What?" Yes, we know since 1980s. We all know.
What a loser. But okay, thank you for bringing this to our attention. It was worth it.
You're welcome.
Okay, Sam, so let's move on to Gorbachev. I hadn't even followed this news or was aware that he was alive, but I guess he passed away and he was alive.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I mean, he was an irrelevant political figure, as we will discuss, I think. But I've brought two readings because currently he's been revered in the
I saw a few
videos.
headlines
I
right
haven't.
now.
I'm looking for a funny article when they go through his achievements, whatever they may have been. But there is. But there is I found two old articles from Cockburn, which I think is fun to read, just to remember, like none of these people deserve any reverence. But I would say something before that funny though. Did you ever hear about him from any Russian speakers, or
No.
say Soviet? When I went to school, high school after we were together. My school was dominated by Russian speakers, people from Russia or ex-Soviet countries, right? And I used to think like, like a lot of them believed he was an American spy, like a genuine American spy,
I see.
which I don't think he was. I think he was far more pathetic than that. But that was quite funny to me because, Russians and Russian speakers, like Iranians, or, conspiracy theories are abound naturally due to what has happened. So yeah, I don't know, I thought maybe you've heard something similar.
No, but interesting. This
All
was
right.
articles from 1991. Wow.
Yes, this is from 1991, and it's fascinating reading it like now, because now his career is finished. But listen to it.
Go ahead.
This is after the this was 2 days that shook the world, part 2.5. History as a farce. The Gang of Eight should have read their
Wait, where are
Lenin
you? Where are you
assuming
reading?
Oh, sorry, I went to the wrong article. Sorry, I had the wrong tab up. I was like, why the Gang of Eight are being discussed here? Yeah, sorry. What hero would destroy his nation? The peons to Gorbachev ignore his economic failure. It was clear back in August, in the wake of the abortive push that the Soviet Union was done for. It was clear too that Mikhail Gorbachev was finished. As the Soviet state withered away, his last and most fervent supporters turned out to be the Western banks that saw him as the vested representative of a union that owed them about $100 billion. Today, in the twilight of his political career, this is from 1991 again. In the twilight of his political career, Gorbachev presents a pathetic spectacle, ceaselessly prophesizing the disaster for which he himself bears so heavy a responsibility. But a scant 4 years ago, he was the most admired leader on the planet, hailed in the West as a man leading the Soviet Union out of the totalitarian darkness. To criticize Gorbachev was to stand indicted of enmity to Glasnost and to the spirit of the reform. My first doubts about Gorbachev came in about 1986, when my brother Patrick, at that time Moscow correspondent of the London Financial Times, remarked to me that Gorbachev reminded him of Harold Wilson. It was a troubling parallel. Wilson was the British Labour Party leader who swept into power in the early 1960s after nearly a decade and a half of Tory rule. He was long gone techno-modernist rhetoric and spoke endlessly about the white heat of technological revolution. He was the sworn enemy of outdated thinking. Like Gorbachev, Wilson turned out to be short on substantive achievement. He was a manipulator, not a strategist. He seemed to have no vision beyond the next parliamentary crisis or the next session with the IMF. Gorbachev, zigzagging his way across the political spectrum, never happier than when gabbing about the cradle of European civilization west of the Urals, had a lot of Wilson in him. Then Pierre Spray, the weapon designer and military analyst, said to me that the language of economic press-torica put forth by Gorbachev and his crowd put him in the mind of Robert McNamara Wiskitz, who took over the Defense Department in the Kennedy administration. Then, too, there was much talk about modern method systems, system analysis, and so forth. old salts who knew how to make things work were shunned aside. In short order, things worked a lot less well than before, at 3 times the cost. The final straw for me was the ban on vodka. At a single stroke, Gorbachev surrendered one of the main sources of revenue for the state and conjured a vast mafia into being. Meanwhile, since Gorbachev had failed to do anything to improve economic consumption, people sought to drink more than ever. I think this is a good place to pause just to explain one of his awful policies was the banning of, it wasn't a complete ban or a complete prohibition, but he limited this, like, each individual's ability to buy alcohol per day, vodka per day, I think. And people were, I think, beaten if they were found to be drunk at work or things like that. Yeah, it was one of his worst legacies. I mean,
how long was he in power for?
I forget, but I mean, if officially, I would say probably 86. Let me check. I would say 5 to 6 years, but I can't be sure. I put Gorbachev's reign in Google. Let's see if it works like a king. He was the head of his state from 1988 to 1991, but he was chairman from 1988 to 18. So, oh, wow. Oh, no. He was general secretary from 1985. So basically, general secretary was as big, I think, as he could get. So, yeah.
Okay, nice.
But he brought in glasnost and perestroika. And by the way, that's why, in Iran, famously, like Khatami reforms, people who oppose them in, when not talking to the public, when talking privately. And one of the reasons they it was because, okay, the Islamic Republic might be bad, but look what happened to Soviet Union. Do we want reforms? Do we want to, they literally, one of the things they would call Khatami in Iran was like, you're like Gorbachev, as an insult,
In a way.
So, yeah, this is another interesting paragraph. I'm not going to read much more, but this is interesting. I remember meeting a Gorby type called Sergei Plekhanko, who was visiting Los Angeles not long after vodka ban. Young Plekhanko talked smoothly about the need for de-ideologization of Soviet foreign policy, and I remember feeling stunned at the spectacle of this supposedly smart fellow, part of George Arbatov's United States of America and Canada Institute, displaying no visible sign of knowing what the word was all about. No. The usual defense of Gorbachev at this point in the discussion is that nothing can detract from his central achievement, glasnost and genuine elections. And though he fought hard in the other direction, Gorbachev recognized the validity of the old Leninist promise that any republic in the Soviet Union had the right to secede. Of course, it is good that there is a certain democracy, freedom of speech and opinion, but much of this occurred independent of Gorbachev and at a velocity that discomfited him. And as John Kenneth Galbraith pointed out to the Emergency Civil Liberties Committee in a speech the other day, in the end, the 4 freedoms depend upon freedom from economic duress. So I think, it's a great article if you want to check it out. It goes on to mention as Soviet historian. I mean, it's very short. I might as well read the next 3 things. Roy Medvedev, the Soviet historian who did time in prison as a dissident in the Brezhnev years, pointed out in New Left Review that in the Soviet Union today, no one lives better than they did 10 years ago. If we discount the 2% or 3% of the population who are growing rich on a speculation. The political and monetary system has disintegrated, productivity plunged, agriculture deteriorated, and the bestseller lists become populated by mysticism and pornography. The Communist Party's banned scarcely an advertisement for the triumph of democracy. People forget Mr. Gorbachev I don't know if it was an actual ban, but I remember he called on his communist friends to abandon the old communist like party structure and set up a new party and all that. Like, what a fool! What a fool! This is quote, "I think it will be possible," Medvedev concluded, "that the evaluation we make of Gorbachev will be a very harsh one. I wouldn't exclude the possibility that we will decide that Gorbachev was the person who destroyed the country. Today, with the Soviet Union gone, virulent and racist nationalism bourgeoising, and allies like Cuba betrayed in the hope of dollars from Washington, that does not seem too savage a judgment." And this was in 1991, as you
I know, very interesting.
You know, yeah, what a failure he was. Like, what a asshole. But yeah,
but he was beloved in the
parallel...
West, no?
Oh yes,
by Western leaders.
Super.
So this
yeah.
is quite a critical article in the LA Times back then.
Oh yes, Alexander Cockburn is he was a rare breed of leftist.
Yeah.
He used to write for the Nations. Very funny
So it's
guy.
Patrick Cockburn's brother, huh? Who works for the Independent.
Yeah. Oh, you know about Patrick Cockburn?
Yeah.
Have you heard of his name?
Yeah. On Iraq and Syria.
Okay. All right. But I also was more so with the next article, but this article, reading it, I mean, I know it's always like, you know, everything is always the same, but I must say, just, I think it's structurally speaking, though, you know, especially the paragraph about, you know, rise of nationalism, pornography, and mysticism, something that I always talk about, how popular it has become. I think it's like, it was always popular, but it's penetrated everything. Like sports, now you have mystic, like, oh, you know, you breathe in, you know, sports health, it's penetrated everything. And I feel a lot of parallel with today's world, you know, that, you know, let me start the next article. Maybe this gives you what I'm like talking about. So the next article, again by Cockburn, "Maybe Lenin should have stayed in bed. The conservatives had no strategy, no plan." This was 2 days that shook the world. Part 2.5. History as a farce. The Gang of Eight should have read their Lenin, assuming copies of his works are still available in the Moscow Public Library. If you plan to seize power, then seize it. Don't sit around all day watching CNN and complaining that Boris Yeltsin is getting too much airtime. And this so much reminded me of January 6th, and, you know, we're going to talk about it in the Iran section perhaps too, but, you know, this left, a lot of times they don't, like, it's like they don't know what to do. They just complain, you know, they just, and in this case it was Soviet, because there was a Gang of Eight of Soviet military, and I believe, were they all military? Maybe some of them were intelligent officers that tried to do a coup d'etat. I mean, they did a coup d'etat. They put Gorbachev under house arrest, but then Yeltsin sort of gave a speech that turned the military around and all that. But then again, Gorbachev was by then is completely silent. But anyway, so listen to this. So am I wrong with the parallel? Do you see what I mean about the parallels at the end of Soviet Union?
Yeah, I mean, I just know like so little though that, you know, it's hard for me to picture, but I see what you're saying.
I'm just saying the lack of, you know, any will anymore to even, you know what I mean? Like people in January 6th taking over the Congress and then just, you know, video, like streaming themselves. Just, anyway, the night before the Russian Revolution in 1917, many of the comrades began to shift around in their seats, saying maybe this wasn't the right time to seize power after all. Lenin walked halfway across the city in the middle of the night to stiffen the spine of the Bolsheviks. Maybe it would have been better if Lenin had stayed home in bed. That way we would have been spared the final farcical outcome of so much tragedy and sacrifice. Western ambassadors supervising the restoration of constitutional order, while Boris Yeltsin thanks George Bush for his support in these difficult hours. The Gang of Eight seemed to have thought that it would be somewhat of a rerun of the way Khrushchev got dumped back in the early 60s. Solemn talk about the motherland, a new lineup on top of Lenin's mausoleums, while Mikhail Gorbachev embarked on a lifetime convalescence in a well-guarded nursing home. Very retro. In fact, much of what the gang said in their initial proclamation was true. After 6 years of Gorbachev, the Soviet Union is, in economic terms, falling apart. According to estimates of the International Monetary Fund, the growth rate of the Soviet gross national product, which had been running at about 1.7% in the 3 years up to 1988, turned negative in 1989, dropping to minus 8.4% and tumbling down to a negative rate of minus 17.7% in 1990. So in 2 years, using the GNP measure, the Soviet economy shrank by a quarter. It's hard to think of any government that could survive a disaster on this scale. As the gang stated, quote, torrents of words and piles of declaration and promises only underline the scanty and meager nature of their, that is the Gorbachev's crowd's deeds. True enough, whereas only yesterday the gang's proclamations went on, a Soviet person finding himself abroad felt himself a worthy citizen of an influential and respected state. Now he's often a second-rate foreigner, the attitude to whom is marked by either contempt or sympathy. True too. And besides, the gang said there was all this sex and violence, which they described as the octopus of crime and glaring immorality. Probably a lot of Soviet citizens felt the same way as they watched their living standards tumble. What the gang didn't have was a plan. The conservatives haven't had one since the mid-1980s, unlike the reformers around Gorbachev, like his old associates, Alexander Yakovlev. So you see what I mean about the lack of plan and knowing, oh, this is bad, that is bad, that is bad, that is bad. What is your option? And to this day, what you ask leftists, what should we do? We should have a referendum. We should do grassroots like democratic movement. We should go back to the people. That's not a plan.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not a plan. You have to come up with a plan for a structure. So yeah, it was just very disappointing. But you know, in many ways, Russia and all these countries were ahead in terms of like what is happening in Russia is just now happening to Western Europe and America, I think, which is just the end game of neoliberalism.
I see. Yeah,
I don't know.
Very interesting articles from back in the day. No. Good job finding them. And what about here? Do you want to touch a bit on this too, or things that you mentioned already?
Oh yeah, just you can, if anybody's interested, they can to understand more about, like, I think the I mean, it all starts with Gorbachev, so I think this is a good place to start decommunization in Russia, which started with him, and
No, so I know about Gorbachev so little. So what, he was in power towards the end of the Soviet Union, and then he was in power while the Berlin Wall and stuff came down, and a few years in the beginning of Russia.
And yeah, he could have. I mean, look, there were a lot of things were out of his control, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But like this, so the German unification could have been avoided, and I think this Soviet Union could have not fallen so fast so far if he wasn't so idiotic, frankly.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like it was as he's urging that the East Soviet German Republic, whatever it was, Soviet Republic, decided to basically not crack down on the protest and all that. And by the way, Germans are at the forefront of loving him. Like if you
really?
check out DW is doing like documentaries and many videos about him.
I can imagine. Okay, all right, very nice.
But I think even if you think his stuff was good, I think as Alexander Cockburn, like democracy, freedom, blah blah, if you think those are nice and all good, it happened not because of him. It happened despite, not despite of him. It happened just irrelevant to him. He was a failure of a man, I think.
All right, Sam, let's move on to our Middle East / Iran / Caleb Maupin segment and all that. So guide us through this.
Before that, about just a little tiny bit about Middle East and national, like especially Arab and like Middle East, like let's put Iran a bit to the side right now. Nationalism, what I found is fascinating is the different way nationalism developed in Iran and Ottoman Empire, let's say for now, right? And one aspect is this word. Can you read that word?
Which one?
The article. What is the word?
Millet or Melli, or I don't know.
It's Turkish. They say millet. Millet. But in Farsi we say millet.
Millet.
And what do we mean when you say millet? I mean, as anybody would know.
Like people?
No, nation.
Nation.
Iran. Yeah, people.
Yeah.
People of the nation.
Yeah.
No, well, Iran. Like it's a. They say millet of Iran. Like that's what they say. You know. What is fascinating in Ottomans, partially trying to respond to Western modernization and stuff, they introduced, this is the late Ottoman Empire, they introduced Tanzimat. I mean, before Tanzimat, you also had the idea of millet, but it was far more looser. Was it people of faith? Was it people of a specific faith? Because it's an Arabic word in root, but the problem with the poor Arabic is that, as it expanded, it came into contact with Persian and nomadic Turks who basically had no respect for the original language and just used the words however they liked it, depending on where they were. So with the introduction of the Tanzimat reform in the Ottoman Empire, what they tried to do is millet becomes the so you have a millet of Christian Syriacs, for example, Syrian Christians. Then you have millet Armenians, Christian Armenians from different churches. Then you have a millet Muslim. Then you have a Jewish millet, depending on their patriarch. So you see, the millet became all these different categories, and in some ways, I would say, led to establishment of what when Ottoman Empire broke up and the fights between nations and the genocides and all that, it might not have happened as systematically if these reforms were not introduced. Because as you see in Iran for a number of reasons, not just for not doing these reforms, it's because of the structure of society, but also because of lack of these reforms, the idea of millet never became specific to any tribe or any ethnic group or any religious groups. It just became Iran, like Iranian thing. So, but in Ottomans, millet became a sort of nationalistic idea, and it led to the breakup. It led to the fragmentation, and then you had the emergence of the Arab nations. And although I would say Egypt was always separate to an Egypt.
So here you're referring to nationalism, kind of. That's what you want to discuss.
Yeah. Well, it's how nationalism developed in Middle East.
So this goes to like the ongoing conversation we've been kind of having. Last few videos too, we commented on that, and then we also had this.
Yeah, exactly. Comment about. And I mean, he said, I've always wondered if Saudi is actually running a plane. No, it's not. I mean, no. Israel is largely a settler colonial state. People who came there were largely people who were fighting Europeans in Europe before World War II and to a lesser extent one. But Saudi were house in Arabia that had a specific ideology, and then basically they kind of led a revolution against the Hashemites who were allied with the British. So two different groups.
Yeah, no, that's definitely yeah, that's for sure the case there, Brandon. Okay. So these next few comments have to do with Caleb. So user 9090, Maupin saying that major industries, natural resources and banking were nationalized by Iran, something which Mossadegh tried to do years earlier. Therefore, Britain and America do not control Iran's wealth. Maupin is basically correct when he says Iran broke free of Western capitalism, much like Cuba and Venezuela. So again, that's why I think we should watch the video again and like first
we
agree
have to,
with
no,
what
but
is
this is
even
wrong.
being said. Yeah. I mean, this is totally not what he says, but let's watch
before
it.
going to Maupin. No. Before going to Maupin,
don't you think we should watch that clip
back.
first? That wouldn't help because it's so short.
No. Before that, natural resources and banking were nationalized by Iran, something which Mossadegh tried to do years earlier. Mossadegh didn't try to do, he did it. Iranian oil was nationalized about 30 years or 20 years, at 25 years before the revolution. It was nationalized. He didn't try it, it was. So therefore, Britain and America do not control Iran's wealth. Therefore, I mean, when did they? When was that? When was Britain and America exactly controlling Iran's wealth? When is
I guess
that
it means
happening?
like, maybe Britain, like, early 1900s and stuff.
Yeah, well, sure. Okay. Maupin is basically correct when he says Iran broke free of Western capitalism, much like Cuba and Venezuela. So that part we watch is saying. So,
and then
those
Brandon
two are
Burks also. Around, why are you two giggling like that while Maupin is talking? Why not explain what he's saying that is wrong? If Caleb is wrong topic, then what is right? Why can't the guy on top be quiet something and let the clip play? Okay, so we'll watch the video now, and then we'll see what we'll say what we think Caleb is saying, and then we'll go on to discuss what we think he's saying. I'm only saying that because user 90's interpretation is a bit different. But okay, here we go. So let's just listen to this. It's very short.
When I'm here, but I only speak for myself when I'm here. But I find this moment to be somewhat pivotal for me. To be sitting here next to Alexander Dugin. The first time I heard the name Dugin, it was thrown at me as an epithet. And it was in 2014. And at that time, I was a card-carrying member of a Marxist-Leninist political party. And at that time, folks will recall the overthrowing of the elected government of Ukraine and the installation of a pro-Western regime. And as that was taking place, I, based on my understanding of how to understand the world and the training that I'd received as a Marxist-Leninist, it appeared to me that what was happening should be opposed, and that that the forces in the East who were resisting this regime being imposed by the West, that they should be supported. And around that time, a number of people began to denounce me in left-wing circles. I was called a Nazbol. I was called a Strasserist, and one of the favorite epithets that people began throwing at me was I was called a Duginist. And I did not know what a Duginist was. I did not know who Alexander Dugin was, so I had to look into this. I had to look it up. And around that time, I was also traveling. In 2014, I first visited the Islamic Republic of Iran. I attended a conference in Iran, and I was in Iran, and I saw in Iran a society that had broken free from Western capitalism. Their national industries were under the control of the public, the oil was under the control of the public, the banking was under the control of the public, the state was working to mobilize the population to raise the living standards. It seemed to have broken free from this free market capitalist system that we had in the West. And when I was in Iran...
Okay, that's it, right?
Yeah, and everything he said is just wrong.
So what is he? Okay, first, what is he saying, right?
First sentence he said, I saw a country that had broken from this system of Western capitalist system, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, can somebody explain to me what is Western capitalist system? What is it? Is it the capitalist system that comes with a cowboy hat, or is it like riding on a horse like Clint Eastwood? What is this Western capitalist system? I would like to know, because I don't recall coming across. There's a tradition of Western Marxism, which is like a social studies tradition, but there is no Western goddamn capitalism. Japan, what is Japan's place in this fucking Western capitalism?
Yeah.
Can somebody explain to me?
So no, they'll be like, oh, it's like free market. deregulation on this, but yeah, that's not Western. That's capitalism
That's
everywhere.
not Western.
And then in any way
No,
it varies. If you start looking
Afro,
in US, between US, France, and Scandinavian countries and other countries, they all will have different policies, even so you can't even group them all under one Western umbrella. So I mean, I agree that that's not even a thing.
Even if you want to group, like even for a grouping or category, you need certain things to differentiate one category from a different. So somebody needs to tell me what is the Eastern one, what is the Western one, right? And how is that? How come is Japan? If it's if it's not based on geographical place, why are we using these Eastern Western terms? Right? It's because they want to make themselves as everybody wants to be special, whether in a good way or a bad way. That's why everybody these days has some mental issue or some disease that can only be detected by like some psychologists, because everybody from their nation, everybody wants to be our Western traditions are not good, we should look to the East. Our Eastern traditions are backward, we should look to the West. Oh, fuck off, both of you. But anyway, so Western, when we are talking about capitalism, and I even differ with Marx there. Like, I don't think there is any significant difference with capitalism and feudalism. It's just that Marx was historically placed in Europe, where not at that specific historical time, because if you go back to Roman times, it was different, but they had not experience surplus within the society. So what happens with societies, either through war or agriculture, they manage to produce a certain amount of surplus value after a while. Intentional, accidental, both ways, right? Can happen. When that surplus value comes into effect, there will be a managerial class that will supposed to manage that surplus value, right? Now, do they manage it for themselves and enriching it themselves, or their friends who also own a couple of shops, or do they use it for society? That's what capitalism and socialism and this is all about. There is no Western capitalism, Eastern mysticism. Just, I mean, anyways, so Western capitalism, I don't know what he's talking about, whatever that was, and then now, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He's talking about Anglo-American Atlanticism. He's talking about a very specific imperial power in the 21st century. When was exactly Iran under? When was America and Britain was controlling Iran like that? Iran was never colonized. All right, governments make steel. It's really fun. It's like saying France is a colony of. I mean, we say jokingly sometimes that France, but it's ridiculous to say France is a colony of the United States, right? Just as it's ridiculous to say that there was like, oh, Iran was like a colonial state. No, they had deals with each other. For example, like they talk about, oh, Iran, they exploited Iran's oil. Iran's oil, what did we do? Like, did we have the machinery to take the oil out of the ground, motherfucker? We made a deal with them. You take the oil out, you give us 20%. Then the deal changes. Then the deal, just like everything else, right? So what the fuck are you talking about? A broken free from West? There's always been a capitalist, or, there's always been a powerful elite in Iran. We don't need foreign elites. We have enough elites in Iran to fuck us over for more than a century or so. And I have 15 goddamn peer-reviewed articles I'm going to go through. But this is the nonsense. This is the nonsense that left talks about. Like, there's the East and they're breaking free from capitalism. They're fighting the bad guys. And then the bad guys.
And then he goes on this whole like whitewashing of, the state works with the people to build,
the public.
The public. What does he say exactly? Hold on.
Yeah. Play.
Mobilize the population to raise the living standards. It seemed to have broken free from this free market capitalist system that we had in the West. Control of the public, the oil was under the control of the public, the banking was under the control of the public. The state was working
it's under control of a
mobilize
state.
The population to raise the living standards. It seemed to have broken free from this free market capitalist system that we had in the West. And when I was in Iran, I remember
Guys, does that make sense?
That was-
Anybody listening to that does not just sound like whitewashing. And can you just like imagine a country where like things are working on like this? I mean, this sounded like paradise, you know? Everything's been
No, come on, you
nationalized, they're
can't
working
say
together.
no. You can after post World War II America, kind of 90s, even now China, they raised the living standards. But
Yes,
Iran,
but
the
not like
living
this way
standards
that
have
he's
been
talking
falling for
about.
40 years.
But like not in
Oh,
this
yeah.
kind of whitewashy way
Not
that
in
oh
this
just
way,
like
yeah.
working collaboratively,
Working
everything
with
in
the
the state
public.
is being done for the people. So I mean, no, I didn't. Of course,
Child.
people's standards of life get raised every now and then, but yeah, that's not what I was saying.
I mean, a genuine child, a genuine. But Iranian industries, and now I think we can go to the some of the links I sent you and some of the articles.
And I have these
Iranian
two articles.
are state owned, and if you're not a child, you know that people work in the state just like people in the corporations can be bad people. They can be corrupt. They can be just thinking about themselves.
Yeah, and hold on, let me show two things. Let me show two things because I had these open. So these are two great articles that you shared with me. So the military and the state in Iran, the economic rise of the Revolutionary Guards, and then this one, how intertwined are the Revolutionary Guards in Iran's economy? I mean, just some top level figures that they show. So I mean, the Revolutionary Guards, you know, they were created to protect the Iranian Revolution, and they're kind of like a paramilitary organization, but they're very much involved in the economy as well. So here the author goes on to say, although there are no official data regarding the IRGC's share of Iran's economy, it reportedly controls up to 1/6 of Iran's declared gross domestic product, GDP. So, and then here it goes on to say where it got the figures and the estimates. So these, again, this was like very, very good article. Again, both of them pointing out, yeah, things might be publicly owned, but by who really? And I also found fascinating how this group got, you know, how they got more and more like, and their size grew under Ahmadinejad, and how he played such a big role in opening their hands into new, you know, new industries.
Yes, but let's not even before let me I'm looking for something that is specifically actually about Ahmadinejad, because it gives a bit of privatization. The process of privatization in Iran started immediately in the post-war era with Rafsanjani, the guy who just like he's been compared to Gorbachev all the time, especially when he still had some power before he died. This guy, you know, Rafsanjani, it started under him. You know, him and his people, his ilk has been following neoliberal Clintonite policies for years. Him, Khatami, it continued to in a different, but you know, here we go. Wait, let me. Okay, this is an article, peer-reviewed, how Ahmadinejad changed Iran's economy. Nader Habibi from Brandeis University, USA. So listen to this. This is about Ahmadinejad's reign, right? Ahmadinejad's close affiliation with Iran's supreme leader and the Islamic Republic's Revolutionary Guard also had an important influence on his economic policies, as he used his executive power to substantially increase the economic role of the IRGC in both private and public sectors. This essay analyzes President Ahmadinejad's most significant economic policies. Now, this is, first of all, for example, a lot of people on the left say Iran is like China. If you go to Wikipedia page, it says it's a centrally planned economy. Sure, my ass is a centrally planned economy. Listen to this. He during his reign.
Which article is this? Sorry.
This is it. How?
Okay, so where are you reading from?
Oh, this is from page. Sorry, it doesn't have page 306.
Okay.
306. It's in the second paragraph.
Okay.
He also showed little regard for the country's 5-year plan or for its formal budget guidelines for fiscal spending. So in Iran, since Rafsanjani, it's been a thing that they do. They do 5-year, 8-year, 10-year plans, just like China does. Never fucking follow through with any of it. You know, it's just for, you know, it's a plan. You don't want to do it. It's a plan. You don't touch it. You don't do it. Actually, it's a plan. You know, you don't actually put it in effect. Now let's get into some details. Go further down. Ahmadinejad's economic policies. Privatization. Ahmadinejad inherited a privatization program that was initially launched during Rafsanjani's presidency, so almost 12 years before him. Ahmadinejad, Rafsanjani is a key figure in Iranian revolution, only second to Khomeini. So anybody saying, oh, maybe the revolution lost its way. No, this is the goddamn revolution. Ahmadinejad sharply criticized this program during his 2005 election campaign, and with the backing of the Revolutionary Guard, he appealed to the supreme leader to modify the privatization program in order to make it more equitable and to prevent corruption in the sale of public assets. The supreme leader ended the intense debate between supporters and opponents of privatization by endorsing Ahmadinejad's revision to privatization law. The revised law set aside 40% of the shares of privatized firm for distribution among low-income households. The next two paragraphs, I won't bore you, but it goes on to detail how this 40% share that was set aside for low-income households ended up basically being distributed to the supporters and cronies of the government, and did almost little to no impact. In fact, it just had some inflationary effect with nothing.
And of course, as the article points out, there was already a privatization scheme in place, so he reformed it this way. So it's not like
how did he reform it? He reformed it so instead of benefiting the gang of Rafsanjani, now it's gonna benefit the gang of Ahmadinejad.
And the Revolutionary Guards, I think, you know, they're mentioned right here. So I think his tactic seems to be to get closer to them and with their power. So they did, you know, they had each other's back, it seems.
Well, that I mean, this article doesn't talk too much about it, but he goes on to have a fallout with the Revolutionary Guards in his second term, and now he's a marginal figure as well. So, subsidy reforms. I just want to read that too right after. Subsidy reforms. Ever since the 1979 revolution, large price subsidies on energy products such as gasoline have constituted a heavy fiscal burden, and the artificially low prices of subsidized products have led to inefficient consumption. Both Rafsanjani and Khatami tried to reform these subsidies. And by the way, basically they mean they've been trying to introduce free market into energy markets, even though the revolution's promise was free energy for everyone. Yeah. That's with very limited success. Ahmadinejad was initially opposed to the removal of these price subsidies. However, as the fiscal cost of subsidies continued to grow and Iran became more dependent on gasoline, which in turn became more vulnerable to economic sanctions, Ahmadinejad changed his position. And then he talks about the subsidy bill that actually, again, filled with corruption. Monetary policy talked about. I'm not going to go into it, but
this is all seriously fascinating and great stuff, seriously. But honestly, man, the Caleb Maupin part, I mean, it's such like whitewashing. It's just such clear whitewashing of what Iran is doing. Is if someone comes up to you, it's the equivalent of someone saying, oh, you know, the US is the land of opportunity and American dreams and all this. He was saying the equivalent
of that
Iran, just same exact thing.
Now go to the other one, the military and the state in Iran, the other article that you quoted from, just to quickly. Just in the very beginning, for almost 4 decades, one of the most striking features of Islamic Republic of Iran's political economy has been the ever-increasing business and commercial activities of various institutions established or restructured in the wake of the revolution. Now go to next page, the page 68 at the first paragraph. Chief among the IRGC's economic venues is the engineering firm Khatam al-Anbiya Construction Headquarters. According to its website, the firm has completed 1,800 projects. This is like the biggest probably money laundering like office. And this article, very briefly, but this article argues, for example, that Iran is basically a sort of a state in which military industrial complex has evolved into it's almost like equally economical. So I suggest checking this article.
And that was my point I
well.
was trying to make. I mean, it's like, you know, it's not just involved in the military part of the complex, but other parts of the economy. They're very much involved.
Yes, everything, every Iranian telecom, Iranian. It's like America, man. In America, you go back in you go to investment backing of majority of companies, especially technological ones. You get to where? Department of Defense. Same, you know, again, you know, it's ridiculous. But I also wanted to point something out, because, you know, I'm a, you know, I've said I like Shah. I think Iranian, after the fall of Soviet Union, I think the Iranian Revolution was the biggest tragedy of the 20th century. And I also found this article by Jahangir Amuzagar. I don't think you have this one. The Iranian economy before and after the revolution. Jahangir Amuzagar is a very famous Iranian economist, also a brother of a former prime minister during Shah's time. So, you know, maybe, you know, biased, but very important economist. This is in the very first page. He's talking about, this is written in, I think, 1991. Yes. Curiously enough, of those who long for a theoretical government of the Iranian variety, few among the hundreds of thousands of demonstrators and political activists in Algeria, Egypt, Indonesia, Jordan, Morocco, Tunisia, and elsewhere seem to know how much Iran's past or present, much about Iran's past or present. The publicized picture of Iran before the 1979 revolution is often an economy mired by stagnation, suffering from an intolerable chasm between the rich and the poor, with agriculture neglected for the sake of rapid industrialization and blah, blah, blah. In contrast, the publicized image of the new Iran is that of a balanced, prosperous economy with reduced inequalities of wealth, income, relying on its own resources, defending Islam against the hostile world, standing up for the rights of the poor and challenging the forces of imperialism and Zionism. But then he goes on, if you go to next page, data published by the World Bank shows that compared with other third world countries from during 1960s to 1977, Iran had amazing growth. Further down, look at this. Look at this assessment. The Shah's quest for military superiority in the region, combined with his drive to see Iran join the ranks of the world's major industrial powers within a generation, and his desire to create a West European-style welfare state, all simultaneously with the aid of oil money, proved to be too ambitious a target to reach and too heavy a burden. I think that's a far more reasonable analysis, even if you think Shah was a dictator, which it probably was. But
great
anyway,
stuff,
this is another very good article, and people should read about bonyads or foundations, literally foundation. Iranian economy is largely ran by bonyads. They are massive financial, and they're basically major conglomerates. They are invested in everything from banking to steel to oil to everything. Yes, everything. And they don't pay taxes. Their books are, they don't even give their books to the government. The government has no authority over them. They get subsidies, and they are mostly ran by religious leaders or government appointed people, just basically, right? But they're private, or they're state appointment, you know. So spare me this. Iran is when these revolutionaries were trying to free from capitalism, whether Western or Eastern or Northern or Southern. I mean, when was that, Caleb? Jesus Christ.
Seriously. And with the nuclear deal, the whole point is for Iran to be able to once again work, like, you know, with Western companies. Of course, not surrender their stuff to them, but yeah, work with them and have them involved in the economy as much as possible, buy stuff from them, sell stuff to them, all of that.
Yes.
And I think I think the
South...
comparison to Venezuela and Cuba, even, I mean, I think this is the form of society is so different in Cuba. Venezuela, maybe there are more similarities, but with Cuba, I would imagine it's just a nonsensical comparison.
These parts, yeah, it's a nonsensical comparison again, because Cuba, Venezuela, post-colonial states. Iran was never a fucking colony. Not that I think it's average Singaporean has a much better life than average Iranian, but it's a post-colonial state. Iran isn't. Okay, just it's very basic stuff. Like and this motherfucker goes on a stage role playing with bunch of other idiots with side like these hats, talking about Superman. I talk about Superman and how can he be a good role model for. Oh, go fuck yourself. Just go to the Wikipedia pages that I sent you. One of the Persian ones. Oh, not this. This I couldn't find an article. No, the one before. I couldn't find an English article about this. This is a Wikipedia article in Persian. There is many Iranian about a 92,000 billion toman, not real, 92,000 billion toman corruption case in the steel company of Iran. A steel company, by the way, all the Iranian factories were built by Shah. None of them were built by these motherfuckers. All were by this company, which, by the way, you can read about the Fulad Mubarak steel factory. One of the they use electricity without paying. They sell steel they have like 80% to 60% margin of profit. And now Iranian parliament, one of the most corrupt places on earth, has done an investigation into their corruption, and he's found out that during the last 20 years, all kinds of corruption, bribery, hiring and firing, illegal practices, contracting, like everything. Yeah. They're fighting. They're living standards, Camille. Iranian people can't fucking buy meat now. Meat. They can't afford it. Living standards is going up. You fucking shut the fuck up about countries you don't know shit about. I was a tourist in a lot of countries I don't know shit about. I don't talk about them. I talk about countries I read about. You fucking asshole.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was such whitewashing, that segment. It was just.
Yeah, and go to the two pictures of the two assholes. This is a conservative guy, former mayor, now a speaker and head of our parliament. Besides the fact that he used to be basically somebody who on the streets would beat the shit out of people with a baton, famously hugely corrupt, like when he was the mayor. I mean, Jacques Chirac level. That level of corruption. This is from the principalist camp. These are the Republicans of Iran. Now go to next picture. The father of Iranian Democrats and the guy who's so corrupt. No, the last. That's good. This guy. The guy who's so corrupt that they, apparently every time he smiled, 3 angels just died in the heavens. His family heavily corrupt, his sons, his children, but now they've been now because his family went against the supreme leader and all that. Now they're on. These are the Democrats. Just like America. Do you think any is better than the other?
And then this is a historian that you just wanted to.
Oh yeah, Ervan Abramian is an Iranian leftist historian. He has a
great book, right? The History of Iran, I think. You had recommended to me years ago. I haven't. Yeah, so good. It goes from the Qajar eras. It goes from the 1800s until pretty much 10 years ago.
Yes, and I think it's not 10 years ago. Now it's probably 30 years ago.
No, 15. No, it was.
Or maybe he updated it. Oh yeah, maybe you read the updated. Yeah, but his books are great, easier to read, and economically minded. Iranian economist and Iran between two revolutions.
A History of Modern Iran, 2008. So you see, it goes up until 15 years ago.
But I also another article I found, and I wanted to read it for people who are lefty and stuff. And what they don't understand was, anyway, again, I'm going to read this. State repression in the Iranian Bazaar, 1975-1977, the anti-profiteering campaign and an impeding revolution. So what you have in 1970s, as I've mentioned before, is that Nixon takes US off of gold standard. That allows US to pretty much print money with no consequences because they can push the inflation abroad. One of those countries that in the Jahangir Amuzgar article, they talk about that it starts experiencing these inflations is Iran in 1970s, right? And one of the things Shah does, very much like Nixon, is put into effect price controls because Bazaris, who are the merchant class in Iran, were basically profiteering and were pushing prices higher. You see, partially Shah wanted Iran to develop because the merchant class in Iran had developed a chokehold over the Iranian economy, and whoever historically has gone against the merchant class in Iran has fallen prey to I mean, this goes back to Qajar era when they tried to sell tobacco and tea, for example. They wanted to give the rights to sell them to British and stuff, and then British would sell them maybe at a cheaper price and stuff, and the merchant class wouldn't have that. So so the article starts. From 1975 to 1977, the Iranian government unleashed an aggressive price control campaign on the nation's traditional commercial class, collectively known as the Bazaar, in an attempt to curb rapidly rising inflation. The campaign would fail on economic levels, and additionally, it had severe political consequences for the regime of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. As the government's violent assault on the Bazaar antagonized many wealthy and socially powerful groups of merchants, alongside drawing the public's attention to the Iranian government's inability to properly manage economic problems. The event helped spark lengthy uprising among Iran's Bazaar community and directly contributed to the overthrow of the Shah's regime. So as you can see here, things are not that simple. Shah was not I'm a bad villain working with America. He was representing his own goddamn interests. I'm not saying he was a good guy, by the way, not at all a good guy. What he was doing, he was representing his own interest at a time, because he was Shah of Iran. His interest lay in the economic development of Iran in a diversified manner, without one segment, the merchant class, having all the power. That's why he focused so much on these industrial projects, steel, tractor manufacturing, that type of thing. So go read before just comment on other states. I just also wanted to recommend Theodore Skocpol's article, Rentier State and Shia Islam in the Iranian Revolution, and Stephanie Cronin's writing about Iran and the left in Iran. Stephanie Cronin writes about the Iranian left. So anybody interested in these things, there's serious writings on these things.
Okay, very nice. Great segment on this Iran stuff. I mean, it seemed like to counter his arguments, the information was so easy, because I mean, it was such whitewashing what he had said. There was just such a lack of nuance, just so anything to it, that like any article that you open is as if like it was addressed like to him, to Caleb. Privatization in bold. Colin.
Yeah, man. Go play your role-playing games with the funny hats, and you do this together. You think you're doing something with your life. Go on. Just
good
fuck
stuff.
Off.
All right, Sam. So let's just wrap up with the last few stories. So this interview with Kim, and I think even Bobby recommended it.
Recommended. That's how I heard.
I watched it. I wasn't too overly impressed. I mean, the guy said a lot of things that I kind of had agreed on, but again, the overemphasis on World Economic Forum. I mean, I've said this before. The overemphasis on this one random video published on their things, and again, I think they dilute the reality, and putting World Economic Forum as more influential as other international organizations like the UN or the IMF or the World Bank or WHO is. So I mean, I've made this criticism before, and this guy did the exact same thing again. So I wasn't too,
two things. First, Bobby made a really good comment. I thought I sent you the picture.
Yeah, I think maybe you had.
Not the vanguards shouldn't be called the vanguards, they should be called the rear guards. And I was like, yeah, this is the type of pun I'm aiming for. So yeah, I really liked it. But yeah, then he sent this. I don't know. Yeah, man, I'm very by the way, first of all, just before that though, I want to say, interview wise, very good interview.
Oh yeah.
Again, Kim could have just like, remember the Aaron thing with McGregor. Sometimes, like, when like, okay, this is our topic and it's obvious, for example, Kim doesn't agree with him on the climate stuff from what we know, right? But she's not going to get bogged down into you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to call out everybody in interview for everything. So that was nice. But no, this guy was a crazy person.
Yeah.
I mean, not a crazy, I think he's too cynical of a person to be a crazy person. He's trying to sell books.
Yeah, and before he was a Republican or what? I mean, he just recently had a change of heart or something.
Oh man, he's Pat. Did he say Pat Buchanan? I think he's like an anti-Semite guy, if I'm not mistaken. He was. I'm a student of an anti. Oh, good for you. Look, again, I highly recommend everybody reading Foucault's Pendulum. You can't just, because things are similar or they sort of look alike, you can't just connect them and say, this philosophy existed since like since Woodrow Wilson, and I demonstrate emergency powers in Rome have, like, you can't just use that and compare that emergency power with America today. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous, and it's creating a narrative. It's creating a story. It's a story. It's a nice story. There's these big bad guys, and they meet at World Economic Forum, and they plot together. Blah, 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 blah. While in reality, they are doing it every night, and most of their plots fail anyway. Like, well, you think we don't think in World Economic Forum they plot? I'm sure they do. I'm sure they plot at home. I'm sure they plot over fucking
it's
Facebook.
the day-to-day thing though. It's not something like hidden, or they need to wait until they get...
like if I'm an oil company, like for example CEO, well, like I go to office, I plot, I come back home, I plot
plotting,
a bit more.
It's more like your responsibilities.
I don't get it. And then he uses idiotic examples of his institutions that have little to no power, while he's like this fear of nation. This is a big discussion in the international realist theory that is nation states, are nation states losing their powers? Are they not? Like, even if they are, goddamn NGOs and World Health Organization is not getting it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And they're the ones who influence them. They're the ones who fund them. So it's just like another way of controlling.
Anyway.
It's another way. Where do you think the UN gets their funding? All of them, they get it directly from the United States and the EU. So they just divert their money. But this obsession with World Economic Forum is very interesting, because IMF and World Bank, they literally do
create a video,
like structurally change, like, some countries with their loans and things like that. They actually have like some influence, but the World Economic is just like, network for these guys. They go there networking, whitewashing, a lot of this kind of stuff.
No, it's a red herring in a sense that is Angola more powerful than WHO? I don't know. What about America? I'm pretty sure America is more powerful. Whenever, as Dave Chappelle put, whenever UN gets an army, until then they can shut the fuck up. And he connects, for example, just stupid examples that clearly is selling you a narrative. Dutch farmers to lockdowns in China, some video, somebody saying something to this. Again, I'm sure there are people among the elite, just like I am, by the way, very worried about overpopulation, hoping for overpopulation, for population controls to come in, hoping for some other things he talks about. Go to minute 12, 22 seconds. Play that.
Farmed everything out to China and harmed America. And beyond that, and this is what's driving this whole idea. The idea is the World Economic Forum is saying that automation is going to happen. they're talking about a fourth industrial revolution, which is creepy. They talk about like a fusion of human and machine.
Very scientific.
But essentially, there's going to be a lot of, quote, useless eaters, according to some of the World Economic. And they actually advise psychedelic drugs and video games to occupy us because we're not going to have much to do. That's why, you'll own nothing. Everything you want will be delivered by drones. We'll be playing video games and we'll be taking happy pills. That's sort of their vision. It's a dystopian vision.
Pause.
I'm glad you brought.
Jesus Christ, man. I hate people
How
like
is that
this.
dystopian? I know. But how is that even dystopian? You sit around, you're playing video games, you get high, and they deliver everything you need. Oh, very dystopian, motherfucker. Go to minute, again, 12:46.
We're there.
Brought up 9/11 because I know that you often, I know you come from the Republican side of the aisle, and you often blame a lot of these policies on leftists. But I mean, really, it's not just the left that is doing this type of stuff. It's coming from both sides.
Yes, in fact, I've tried to actually avoid going after the left. I would say progressivism. It depends on that old argument. Was Hitler right wing or left wing? So you can get into that argument.
Right.
I think, So I'm not even going to go there. The idea, but
what fucking old argument? Hitler was right wing. He was right wing, not left wing. There is no old argument. Oh, was Hitler against communists? Yes, he was. He openly stated it. It's man, these people. What a hack. What a hack. But yeah, it was so funny. Kim also going, it's not just the left wing, it's also
yeah. I mean, so this was pretty.
Stop with this left, right? Who gives us? Why is everybody so obsessed with these goddamn titles? I don't know. But yeah, I found it very disappointing.
Yeah, same.
Very clear.
And what the hell is wrong with this guy? Apparently, you mentioned this guy in a past video. I listened to a few minutes of it. I had no idea what he's saying.
No,
yeah, this
man,
guy's crazy.
You have to play some of. I think we should play the whole thing, to be honest, because the whole thing shows how much of a psycho is. But towards the end, it's just this stuff he's wrong, and he's a psycho, like all of it together, which is fantastic.
So watch a bit of it here then.
Missing in them is a way to unify liberties every election cycle. We need to come together and start thinking about how we devise our own independent party of the American working class. The era of just having motivational influencers is coming to an end. We need to actually concentrate our power into a form of political power, because at the end of the day, the only reason these big tech corporations are able to censor us in the first place is because they have the backing of the government. A government that's supposed to be by, for, and of the people. And if we put our collective strength together and unify as a people...
Go to the beginning or middle. In the end, he just says some fucking bullshit. La-di-da. He says, like literally in the beginning, he says... let's
just listen to the first minute. People will get a sense of it.
In the middle also, he starts giving specific examples, which are so stupid and wrong. That's all. But yeah, not the end. The end is just some la-di-da. We should get together, workers, right and left. Oh,
so let's watch a little bit here the first minute, just so people get a little taste of him.
The video, by the way,
Blue pill and red
title
pill.
of the video.
This is how we beat them.
Yeah, this is how, this is, and then the thumbnail was, this is what they don't want you to know. Oh, tell me the secret knowledge you achieved, the bearded one.
All right, isn't it?
Pill. What is the actual meaning of this binary, this division, which is so characteristic of the current political climate here in America? It even extends beyond politics. What it means to be a man or a woman, or even a human being in general, and what it means to have family values, seems to have been radically altered and disrupted by this division, with one side declaring that everything we've ever known about these things can be completely thrown out the window, and we completely refashion everything about us as human beings according to these enlightened precepts. Gender is completely made up, and as a matter of fact, not only can we choose whatever gender we want to have, we can even make up new ones. Additionally, everything we've ever known about the relation between the sexes is completely prejudiced and based on patriarchy. And actually, there is no difference between men and women.
All right, enough.
Yeah, enough. This idiot is a genuine idiot. He first of all, he's creating a binary that is. He's creating a binary. I mean, he's playing into that. But he's doing the exact same thing that he's playing. Oh, you're creating a binary. You're playing the same thing because it plays into your pockets, right? It plays into getting followers, I assume. This guy, I hate it when I say stuff like that, that, you know, I go after, you know, people's pockets and stuff. But this guy genuinely was, it's like the worst person I've ever seen. And then, I mean, not the worst, Andrew Tate is worse, but then he goes on to defend Andrew Tate. The other thing, he says Communist Party, where it was the masses, the populace that were fighting against the elite. Have you read fucking history, motherfucker? The Bolsheviks were the minority. Mensheviks were the majority, motherfucker. First of all, second of all, when, as Lenin himself said, the power was in the streets. We just took it. You know, the revolution. Again, I like to read this from Thea Skocpol. She's the foremost expert on revolutions. I'm looking. I have a stress following Charles Tilly that mass lower class participants in revolutions cannot turn discontent into effective political action without autonomous collective organization and resources to sustain their efforts. Moreover, the repressive state organizations of the pre-revolutionary regime have to be weakened before mass revolutionary action can succeed or even emerge. Like, these people don't know shit about shit, and all they're doing is just selling people. They're like Gladiator. They're WWE. This is WWE. Oh, I am fighting. This is how they don't want you to know this, Cameo. We come together, the left and the right. And then he talks about the values of the American Revolution. What else?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Just a lot of bullshit.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking.
No need to anymore.
Oh, he says feminine. Oh, he says they want us to be feminine and therefore more obedient. I'm sorry, maybe in your fucking backward head, femininity means obediency, masculinity means it doesn't for most people, or at least for some of us it doesn't. Okay, go to your gym with your small dick friends, jack them off, or whatever you guys do in your private. You fucking psychopaths. Fucking victims of racism and sorry.
No worries. Okay. All right. Should we wrap this up? There's just like quickly these two videos just wanted to mention, but I don't know. I feel like they could get into long
I thought this
long
was
discussion.
Just brief.
This one was
briefly. No, going back to that, on that, I just want to say, what a waste of 1 hour and a half. I mean, neither Robbie nor the other guy were experts on the matter, and Robbie really didn't put up a fight at all. So it was it was just that guy basically saying, oh, tens of thousands of people are dying every day. Why aren't you upset? It was just
this guy was so ideological, and all he did was make normative statements. We need this. We ought to have this. We should have that. Like, sure, okay, fine. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, Bria did a little bit of this side and that side, but yeah, this was complete shit. They were supposed to argue about COVID, kinda. They were arguing about different aspects of COVID, but
zero facts. That even when she was traveling with her family, she was wearing 3 masks and washing. Like, okay, you guys live like that.
No, Bree's so funny. She's like so funny. Well, you know, now I've been doing the same things, and you know, I've been getting sick less. And before, you know, I would go and like touch all the doorknobs and then get to a restaurant and eat French fries with my hands. I was like,
no.
Okay, I don't know. I thought people. I was like, "What's going on?" I mean, did you not know about washing your hands before eating before COVID happened? I mean, I don't understand. What are
Middle Easterners are a bit OCD, though. I would say that. Like, have you noticed? I think like Iranian Arabs are a bit more extreme with like washing up and all.
But so but sure, if you go on public transportation and then you go to a restaurant,
yes,
go wash your hands. If you needed
that's not OCD.
If you needed to know that. But then this guy comes and, I mean, he says some pretty scary stuff. He's a researcher or doctor, I believe, on long COVID and the number of people that are affected by long COVID. That's why I said this is like a long conversation, because I don't even know exactly what we're qualifying as long COVID and all of this. So
yeah, full disclosure, I genuinely don't think long COVID exists. I think it's largely, very rare cases, I think it's largely bullshit. But then I saw this interview, and this is an actual doctor, and he said a couple of things that I could I've seen long COVID studies. I saw one from King's College and one from Imperial College, and they were both, one of them was 1,400 people, one of them was 5,000 people. They were so wishy-washy about the way symptoms were defined and all that, that I was like, okay, this is bullshit. And then there's this article from, I believe, Wall Street Journals. Let me check. From Wall Street Journal by Jeremy Devine, The Dubious Origins of Long COVID. And look, then this guy came on, he mentioned number of studies I haven't been able to find. He mentioned inflammation of brain and the surrounding brain area. If these are true, these are not evidence that I can say I don't believe in, right? It's actual scans and all that. But I would add, nobody, neither in Brie interview with Robbie and the other person, neither here mentions the financial incentives that is in, like the other person in the other interview. They pretend as if there is no corporation that is benefiting from lockdowns or further vaccinations or boosters. So there's no talk of that. And this guy, so I don't know him, I'd have to look at this. Also, he mentions ME, another, I think, largely bullshit, overdiagnosed. This, ME. Have you heard of ME?
No, I don't think so.
ME is it's like chronic fatigue syndrome or something. Basically, like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Again, I'm sure there are rare cases that are true, but largely. So I really, if anybody, I couldn't find the studies he talks about he talks about a study in Brazil. He talks about a study in Scandinavia. But
maybe at some point if I had a chance to look into it a bit more. I'm not so dismissive in the way you are, but I think there's different, you have to understand what you mean by long COVID and all that. And
yeah, exactly. The study from Imperial College and the King's College, they didn't include inflammation of brain or brain tissue, or these are not, the other, they were self-reported coughing. That's different. I'm sorry, but so very fascinating.
Yeah. Okay, all right, great stuff. So let's wrap it up for today. So folks, please leave your comments, questions, criticism down below. We'll make sure to get to them. If not, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you.